The latest news from around the world. 94.4 SpiceFM.
Good morning, this is News. I am Dennis Aseto. With Raila Odinga officially announcing Martha Karua as his running mate, his supporters have continued to pour cold water on the Ruto ticket with Gachagua as his running mate, claiming that the two cannot be trusted with Kenyans. Here are the sentiments from Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho and former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth.
Safari hii wajipange kuwa katika upinzani, sivyo? For only one simple reason. Raila Odinga na William Ruto ni kama usiku na mchana. Martha Karua na yule, unaweza kulinganisha kweli? Unaweza? Hii team tuko nayo ndio team bora. We do not have any other options. The alternatives are worse.
Odinga named his running mate from the Mount Kenya region, a region considered to have a large population vote of over 4 million.
And I am persuaded that you have the right pair of hands to accomplish this task. My dear Kenyans, cometh the hour, cometh the lady. I have the great honor to announce that I have picked as my running mate and Cabinet Secretary for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Martha Wangari Karua.
Odinga and Karua are both seen to be Kenyan advocates, activists of the country's multi-party system and leaders who have openly fought the oppression of Kenyans.
We have history to judge us. When we were fighting for democracy, our primary competitors in this election were enjoying the status quo. When we pushed for a constitution to cement equity and non-discrimination as well as integrity in public leadership, they said no.
Meanwhile, while naming his running mate, Odinga named part of his cabinet should he win the presidency. In that cabinet, Karua will be the deputy president as well as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, giving her back the task of successfully implementing the constitution, a role she has embraced.
Baba has allocated me duties in advance. I want to confirm that I'm ready, able and willing for those duties. Any desires to look at our constitution will be pursued, but within the rule of law.
But even as Odinga was announcing his running mate, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka met good his threat to ditch the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. Kalonzo, who made the big announcement Monday afternoon simultaneously with the unveiling of Raila Odinga's running mate at KICC, declared that he will be on the ballot come August 9th. Speaking from Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka Command Center, the former vice president went ahead to pick Andrew Letaipa Sonkuli as his running mate, complying with the IEBC timelines.
My brother Raila knows I'm naming my running mate. In fact, from Mombasa, he came home to try to convince me to accept his choice of our sister, Martha Karua. We did not agree, and I said, let's sleep over it. We slept over it, and last night we are at it. We did not again agree, so this is why we agreed that he will name Martha, and I will name my running mate today.
I accept the nomination to be the running mate of the presidential candidate of the Wiper Democratic Movement.
Disgruntled Kalonzo said he was not ashamed of his last-minute move after it became obvious that Kenya leader Martha Karua was set to be unveiled as Raila's preferred choice.
The terms of engagement under this Grand Coalition agreement is based on utmost good faith. And where there is no good faith, then you can't do business. And some of us have suffered the consequences of bad faith for far too long. Although the eminent persons have done their work, the final decision has actually been taken by the candidate himself, the Honorable Raila Odinga, his own decision, which I respect. And I wish him and his running mate, our sister Martha Karua, well. But I also made it very clear that if I know my country, if I know our country well, that decision will meet with overwhelming opposition.
And Tharaka Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki will take a break from active politics. Kindiki, who lost to Mathura MP Rigathi Gachagua to become Kenya Kwanza's presidential flag bearer, deputy presidential flag bearer, said that he would fully support the UDA outfit to ensure victory for Deputy President William Ruto in the August polls. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
If I'm found guilty, there is no problem. I'm willing to serve. I have no problem. Jails are meant for human beings.
They say a society gets the leadership it deserves. If you have a corrupt, crooked, and rotten society like we have in Kenya, then of course they will get that kind of a leadership.
I think the president should dissolve parliament. That's the best solution at this moment in time. Dissolve parliament.
All of you go home.
Yes, we all go home.
How are we encouraging other people who might have new and creative ideas? Young people who are making money without any government help. They are just buying their own bundles. They are going on TikTok and making money. KRA is coming after them.
I've been in parliament for 15 years. We have been unable to pass the gender law. And yet no presidential candidate is talking about it now. Because we are fake. The truth is, all the men refused to vote for that law.
What did Sonko do to Pumwani maternity hospital?
Yeah, he
with
cleaned
his
it up.
Own money.
Cleaned it with his own money. That was him as an individual.
Yeah. And I did not say he was cleaning his own money. I was saying he was cleaning. He cleaned it.
Foot, mouth. Foot, mouth. Eric. All right, Tuesday morning, and what do the streets look like? We know the expressway had quite some issues yesterday trying to ease the traffic situation, but we're going to have to watch out and see what that looks like today. Quite some traffic already building up on the Thika Superhighway coming into the city. Apart from that, it doesn't look too bad, actually. Coming off Uhuru Highway, then through to the roundabout at Haile Selassie into the city and then out towards Westlands. And that's going to slow down just a little bit. And we're already seeing some action on Jogo Road. Going out towards Landis and then to the Kamkunji roundabout. Traffic has just started. We're not seeing anything too painful. Should we? We'll let you know. Let us also know what's going on where you are. Let's talk. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
87.9 Spice FM, Mombasa. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
Welcome
not
to
down.
Tuesday, 17th day of March 2022. Kenya's biggest conversation is back. City Muga. Habari bwana.
Habari yangu mzuri sana. Na we habari yako?
Mimi habari yangu?
Yes.
Njema.
Habari gani?
Mzuri
sana. Wageni wakaribishwa. Kenya yetu. Haina matata.
Kabisa. Madam Ndu.
Sir.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning.
Fine.
Not so.
Yes. Sasa.
Mambo iko namna gani?
Mambo mzuri sana. Salama kabisa. Muko poa?
Poa.
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 I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well, dear friend. It's a prayer, but it's in the Bible.
Ni Biblos.
3 John chapter 1 verse 2.
Who's the John who wrote that chapter, that book?
It's actually one of the disciples.
A apostle. Johanna. Mtakatifu. Not John the Baptist, eh?
Not John Baptist, no.
Yeah, John the Baptist, the time all these things were happening, he may had already become an ancestor.
This was the John that Jesus loved.
Kuna brother moja alikuwa anaitwa Herod. He had made sure that John didn't live very long.
There's a girl who just didn't like him.
No, it's the mother who didn't like him. Because John said things that he shouldn't tell people who think they're important.
Kuna vile
akaambia mzee hii mambo na
she had a grudge.
Iko shida. Akauliza, and you are who exactly? So,
speaking of the Bible, yesterday I was watching the speech by Raila Odinga at KICC, and he was talking about Moses and Aaron.
Yes, Aaron alikuwa brother Moses.
Saying when Moses would get tired of going to war, Aaron would go to war.
Yes.
And Moses went to war.
Yes, he did.
With who?
You remember the time where the Israelites were fighting the Amalekites, and
Yes.
Moses sat on a stone and he had to hold his staff
Hand
up. But then at some point he got
Alichoka.
tired and Aaron had to hold up.
Aaron
so long as he held the hand,
The Amalekites,
the
were
Amalekites would
subdued.
keep falling.
Yes.
Yes. So that is what now. So him is Moses, and the Amalekites are the other guys.
And Aaron is?
And Aaron is Martha. Sawa basi. Sawa. So today we will have conversations reflecting what happened yesterday. Of course, the choice of Martha Karua as Raila's running mate. Also the choices that have been made by various candidates across the country, especially those for governor. You know, we have seen various gubernatorial candidates now unveiling their running mates. Some sitting governors deciding to pick new running mates. Others staying with the same people who've been serving as their deputies and going with them again to the ballot. And what this all means. We'll be joined by Sophia Wanuna from KTN. She'll be our guest host today. She'll be joining us from 7 o'clock to have all these conversations. We'll, of course, now want to hear from you. Now that we have this main candidates and their running mates, Reuben Kigame will be making his announcement about, he's already presented the name of his running mate, but he'll be unveiling this morning. Same thing to Jimmy Wanjege. We would like to hear our friend Odemwengu, whether he's also unveiled his running mate, paging Odemwengu, and the others. We'll have those conversations. Yes. In the meantime, we'll also be telling you about City. Why are you smiling?
I'm smiling that this is truly a wonderful country.
Why?
I mean, as you are reeling off the names of what is happening, we take it for granted. But we are witnessing something momentous. We're actually witnessing something that other people pray for, wish for, but have never seen. An opportunity in the country for anyone who wishes to be something on the political scene. Now, this opportunity we are praying is what will now appear in the sphere of employment, in the sphere of the economy and economics, so that people can actually realize whatever potential they have simply through the ability, through a meritocracy. That one, okay, will be a wonderful thing. But this heralds something that is wonderful to behold.
Big?
Yes.
Big one.
Yes, it's huge. And they're being given, you see the beauty here, and this one, the media has to be given, Kofi Nje, they're being given due publicity. The names are mentioned, they are talked about, so it isn't just the so-called big boys and girls. Anyone who wants to take a stab at the presidency has an opportunity to be heard, has an opportunity to say their piece.
Let us see if people like Jimmy Wanjege and Reuben Kigame are going to get live media coverage. then now we can say, okay, yes, there's some equal treatment. Or whether they're going to be, among the top 4 stories in the news tonight, or top 4 pages in the newspapers tomorrow.
4 pages?
Yeah.
Top
4.
That one they want to get.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, the latest from the Ministry of Health from yesterday in terms of COVID-19 in numbers. We had 20 new cases reported yesterday from a sample size of 2,800. 1% positivity rate. So we've been below 1%. Now we've come to 1. And this is because of the sample size, which was also lower than what we've seen previously. Bringing our total confirmed cases in the country so far since the 15th of March 2020 to 324,046. Cumulative fatalities 5,649. Those cases are spread mostly within Nairobi. 4 cases in Mandera. That's something. Wasingishu had 1 case and Kiambu had 2 cases.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit more information about what's going on in the eastern part of the world. North Korea, looking at the cases, unfortunately, that more than 1 million COVID cases feared in North Korea. Leader Kim Jong-un has lambasted, when's the last time you heard that word, health officials and ordered the army to help distribute medicine as a wave of COVID cases sweeps through the country. More than 1 million people have now been sickened by what Pyongyang is calling a fever, according to state media. About 50 people have died. It's unclear how many have suspected cases, who have of the suspected cases have tested positive for COVID. North Korea has only limited testing capacity, which, like we saw yesterday, really saying this is going to be our problem. Again, asking why the openness and why the transparency in terms of this right now. They're likely to be vulnerable to the virus due to lack of vaccinations and a poor healthcare system, and a nationwide lockdown is in place. State media led by Kim over the weekend accused officials of bungling the distribution of national medicine reserves. So they're looking at what they're calling a potential disaster here. And if we look at this in comparison to world numbers, 523,210,118 new cases around the world, total cases around the world. And that's what we're looking at today.
17 after 6, we are live streaming the show on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. If you're online, just jump onto our comments section. Say hello. We'll be acknowledging everybody who's online this early morning. Let's take a look at the weather forecast.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Standard Group's Farm Kenya initiative is the umbrella entity for all agriculture-related channels, activities and investments. The media platforms under the Farm Kenya initiative include the Smart Harvest Weekly Pullout in the Saturday Standard, KTN Farmers TV, a 24-hour agribusiness TV station, Maisha Kilimo, a weekly agriculture show on Radio Maisha, AgriTalk on SpiceFM's morning show The Situation Room, and Grind na Agribiz on Vibes Radio morning show Morning Vibes. Find us online at www.farmers.co.ke, an integrated website that creates and aggregates agri-content, hosts a digital marketplace, and wide range of agri-data. Other platforms include specialized events such as the annual Mkulima Expo, quarterly Farmers Kenya Breakfast, and dedicated social media platforms at Farm Kenya 254. Farm Kenya, working to secure your growth.
And mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 24, coming back down to lows of 16. Partly cloudy at 14 in Nakuru, highs of 26. And it's cloudy at 16 in Nyeri at 16, highs of 23 and lows of 14. At 12 degrees, it's clear in Eldoret, highs of 25. Back down to lows of 12, and light rain in Mombasa this morning at 25, highs of 30. We'll see highs of 30 as well in Malindi, where it's raining at 27. It'll come down to lows of 26. Out in Kisumu, it's mostly clear at 19, highs of 29 today. And we'll see highs of 28 in Kakamega, where it's mostly clear currently at 16. 21 degrees and partly cloudy conditions in Kampala, highs of 28 and lows of 19. And Dar es Salaam is mostly clear at 23, highs of 31. And we're looking at mostly clear conditions at 9 in Johannesburg, highs of 17 and lows of 9, or rather 8. And at 26, it's mostly cloudy in Lagos, highs of 33. 33 will also be the high in a clear Kinshasa, currently at 23. It's sunny at 25 in Beijing going into afternoon, highs of 29 and lows of 15 today. And we're looking at clear conditions in Paris, warming up towards the summer months, highs of 29 and lows of 16. It's clear in London at 13, highs of 25 and lows of 13. Cloudy conditions at 17 in New York. Still Monday night coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 23 and lows of 14.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to SpiceFM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
"21 after 6.
Benoit says, good morning. Already tuned in from Nakuru County. Good morning to you. Davy Mwana Ireri says good morning and says that the early bird catches the worm. That's true.
The early worm catches
the early bird catches the worm. Or maybe the early worm catches the bird, depending on
Early
what
bird
side of the
catches
bed
the
you
early
wake up
worm.
on.
The worm also has to be early in order to be caught that early.
Indeed. So the worm is also early.
Yeah.
It's doing something right. Amos Hissa says, good morning. Tuning from Kirinyaga County, and you're Oh, this is therapeutic for you. Okay, that's great. Lillian Odenge, tuned in from Ahero. Love you all. Love you too. Kimilili Kondani. Good morning to TSR family. Good morning to you too. Robertson Bogo says, good morning. JF Kennedy Oma. Yes, excited about the show, specifically today. Okay, it must be because CT is wearing that beautiful print. Nana Kojo Fletcher. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. I'm interested as to where you are listening in from. George Ogola says, good morning, listening in. You're listening louder or we are louder? It's all relative. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning from Kiserian Dreams, right at the foot of Ngong Hills. Oh, Kiserian Dreams, right at the foot of Ngong Hills. Okay. Angela Nyang says, good morning. Katani is locked. And Linda Choge says, good morning, good people. Bantu Madlomo also says good morning to you. Happy to have you in the room. On Dicho, we see you as well. Evelyn Kavaya, good morning, tuning from Riyadh this morning. Adjuan George is tuning from Kisumu. And Charles Ogato says good morning. Yobesh says good morning as well from Nyangoso in Kisi County. Mamake Kayla says good morning as well. And Ashley, we see you this morning. Andrew, good morning. Listening with somewhat bated breath. Why? Buyaye Marachi Butula. Ni asubuhi njema, indeed. Chris Amolo says, good morning. It's another beautiful day. Welcome to Kisumu City, the host of the cities, indeed. Good morning to you guys. Great to have you in the room today. Karibuni sana.
Welcome, City. What is a proverb from today?
Same place. Congo Republic. A bald-headed man may not grow hair by getting excited.
Maybe not.
Surely. The bald-headed man was just sitting there calmly.
Minding his own business.
Minding his own business. Then Hamza looks at him and thinks,
even if you get excited, you can't grow hair.
I mean, if it can get worse. Why do they pick on a bald-headed man?
It's a proverb, Baba.
Like really?
A proverb,
bald-headed
Baba.
man will not grow hair by getting excited.
Meaning?
That was an insult. It wasn't a proverb.
So, in other words, some things are final.
Yes,
it
doesn't matter what you do. You
You
jump
cannot
up and
reverse the
down, you run
situation.
across, you fly.
Wake up really early
in the morning.
morning.
Nothing. Suck a lemon, nothing.
You lost your hair, you lost your hair.
That's
It's gone.
Right.
Like you see fair.
The bald-headed man is just an example.
No, you see, when
Did you see the court ruling the other day about bald people?
I didn't
I saw
actually.
something to that effect.
Tell me about it.
Remind me.
Let me look for it. You continue. Let me look for it.
Are we banned it?
Yes.
You banned being bald?
Yes, yes.
Some people don't have a choice.
Yes.
Knock on wood. Good Lord.
Yes, there was something. Calling a man bald is sexual harassment, according to a UK tribunal.
So what should they be called?
Commenting on a man's
Hairless.
baldness in the workplace is equivalent to remarking on the size of a woman's breasts, according to a panel of 3 employment judges.
It's in
I
the
saw
UK.
that. I saw that.
Yes.
Okay.
The decision relates to a claim brought by Tony Finn against the West Yorkshire-based British Bank Company, where he worked as an electrician for 24 years before he was fired in May 2021. He complained that he was a victim of sexual harassment due to comments made about his lack of hair, including being called a bald something by factory supervisor Jamie King during an argument in 2019. Describing the argument, Finn told the panel, "I was working on a machine that I had to cover awaiting specialist repair. The covers were taken off, and it was apparent that Jamie King had done this. When I spoke to him about it, he began to call me a stupid bald seed, and threatened to deck me."
Sorry.
The 3-person tribunal led by Judge Jonathan Brain was asked to rule whether calling someone bald is an insult or amounted to harassment. In our judgment, there's a connection between the word bald on the one hand and the protected characteristic of sex on the other. The lawyer was right to submit that women as well as men may be bald. However, all of 3 members of the tribunal will vouchsafe baldness is much more prevalent in men than women. We find it to be inherently related to sex. Calling someone bald is sexual harassment.
Really? Yeah, I saw that and I was a bit flabbergasted.
Imagine.
Mm.
So this proverb of yours.
Sexual harassment.
Baba, this
Oh, that's rich, Eric.
This proverb comes from Congo Republic.
It's not yours.
Not UK Republic.
Not United Kingdom.
Okay. You know, if someone is uncomfortable about their loss of hair and you belabor the point and you make derogatory comments, yes, I can understand why the judges arrive at that particular conclusion. Yes. If somebody is happy with their loss of hair, okay, and they celebrate it, it's a non-issue. But the judges, but the thing I don't get, the sexual harassment.
I don't
bit,
understand the connection
that
between
bit,
the two. I'm
I don't
sorry.
get. Harassment, I understand. Sexual harassment, I don't understand.
You're likening a man's bald head to a woman's mammary gland.
Yes.
It's not as though he doesn't have any.
Where's the connection?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it has the same effect.
The man also has mammary glands.
Exactly.
So,
It's, you see, when you're making a comment about a woman's mammary gland, in that case, you are basically insulting them, right?
Adi? Eric.
In the form of harassment.
Eric, you know now you've lost me completely. You know
Before
before,
it was just a little
I was
bit.
just kidogo lost. Can we
Tuendelee basi.
tuendelee baba, because this early
And then
morning-
mkauliza tribunal.
Tunakusumbua?
Nasumbua hapa kwani mimi ni did you hear my name is Judge Eric Tribunal?
UK.
or ni mwalimu wa biology.
Ni sawa, sorry.
Okay, let's take a look at the newspapers. www.standardmedia.co.ke. Are you a member of our online community? Please become one by just subscribing to www.standardmedia.co.ke. Big stories in the papers today.
A big one. Joy for divorcee as in-laws told to return bride price. Not 2 days later. Yes, exactly.
Joy for divorcee as in-laws told to return bride price.
Yes.
They had refused to return it.
Yes. Let me tell you.
Okay,
it's
go on.
actually quite interesting, I must say. It was a big win for a 52-year-old man seeking a refund of the bride price he had paid for his ex-wife from in-laws after a Kitale court granted his wish. On Saturday around 9:30 a.m., Mr. Wilberforce Saini Murunga and his brother, Mr. Fred Matumbai, proceeded to the chief's office in Kiungani, Baraton, Uasin Gishu County to pick his 3 cows and a goat. This is after the Kitale mediation court ordered that the 3 cows, a sheep, and 20,000 shillings be given back to Mr. Murunga. Initially, Murunga had paid 50,000 shillings, 3 Ayrshire heifers, 1 cross Ayrshire bullock, 1 she-goat, 1 pair of gumboots, and a hat as bride price. That was done in April 27th, on April 27th, 2019, at his Bungoma home. So this is what he paid as
Okay.
bride price some 5 years ago.
Okay.
However, according to the agreement, Murunga forfeited 1 cow and 30,000 shillings as a token of appreciation. I am excited and happy that the court has done justice for me, since my ex-wife happens to be a lawyer. I never thought I would win this case, and I thank God. According to him, his ex-wife had bragged to him that she would easily win the case, but his determination kept him going, and I believe everyone is equal before the law, irrespective of their status. He said that his in-laws were unable to provide all the livestock and money due to the harsh economic times. The animals would be transported to his village home in Chwele, in Bungoma, for the Balunga clan to confirm. So they have to confirm if these animals are up to scratch.
Yep.
Now we're officially not husband and wife anymore. She's free to move on since the dowry has been refunded, according to Mr. Murunga. He called upon men suffering in abusive marriages in silence to come out and trust in the courts to deliver justice. In this case, on April 14th, a Kitale court had referred the case to mediation. Chief Magistrate Julius Ngangar had said a court mediator would be appointed to settle the matter. According to him, if the matter failed to be settled, it would go back to the court for judgment. I've decided to refer this case. He had insisted now, Mr. Murunga, that it was his right to get back his dowry since things did not work out between himself and his wife. And now that they were severing all ties in terms of a divorce, he said, look, the things that I paid in order for us to get married, now give them back to me. Now, Mr. Murunga is expected to go to the United States in May. He sought to be divorced from Irene Hasoa on grounds that she deserted their matrimonial home. The marriage was dissolved on October 12, 2021. The court said that he now lived with his ex-wife for about 1 year and 6 months when she started deserting their matrimonial home. So because of now her action, he now said, no, please. We cannot live like this anymore. We would now dissolve this marriage.
We need to dissolve the marriage.
As we're dissolving the marriage, the things I brought, you will return them to me. So the court has ruled in his favor.
But this is the custom.
That you divorce and return the bride price, Abi? Abi, the dowry.
Is that not it?
Yes. When you get to the point where you're returning the dowry, it's final.
Yeah. This is to signify.
Yes.
And
that refund clause, now it's done.
It's done.
Yes. But so long as there has been no refund,
they're still married.
You can, even someone can presume they've married you, but that
doesn't matter.
That one, they're just bearing children for you.
So why did this one have to go to tribunal?
For them to decide, because it did not work out at mediation.
No, I thought they went to mediation.
They did, but it did not work out. And said the judge said, in this case, if the mediation does not work out, come back to me, and I will order a judgment.
Well, it's a positive thing about mediation. I'm just wondering why it had to go through that process instead of just the customary process.
They couldn't agree.
At Rudishi?
Auntie said she's a lawyer, and by virtue of that fact, I am not dealing with you like this. So let's go. And he thought that the courts would not help him. But he said, purposeful, I want my things back. And I'm supposed to travel to America at the end of this month. So please bring my things. Let's know that as I go, I'm a free man.
Wow. 27 minutes to 7. Let's take a look at the traffic. How's it looking like? Are people on the expressway or not? It's been clear, by the way.
Yeah. People have become afraid.
Hey, people are fearing to get onto the expressway.
Yes, no. You go there and get stuck in traffic.
The only traffic is at the exit points.
Indeed,
it's just because of that whole issue of people not knowing, so which lane am I going to
Where
pay?
am I getting off?
Yes. Okay, let's take a look at that.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Forgiveness is always conditional. Even before God, there's nothing like unconditional forgiveness.
Government doesn't pay you pension until you retire. In fact, they have no money for you. The day you retire, they look for it.
This country is punishing many young people. These young people are more susceptible to be deceived, to be taken advantage of, and they're more susceptible to be bought off.
Let us also talk about where we want our country to go. We are a population of very young people.
We're in a state of capture. The judiciary is under duress. Parliament is in the pocket of the executive. You don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so.
By the way, let me tell you, these guys are so persuasive.
I'm telling you, they can persuade you to sell your grandmother. I'm telling you, they can sell sand in the desert.
City, has anybody on this program said to you as a guest, saying, "Oh, shut up, we don't want to be told what to do"? Has you ever that kind of... Has anybody been
Listen, I will not listen.
A bit of advice? Because you're working on the premise that we should all pay heed to these proverbs. It's a very
All right,
suspect.
yes, the expressway is up and open, ready for folks to use this morning. Another chance to try again. Teething problems will end. Jogo Road, as you're getting into the city, however, is starting to build up, and we're looking at traffic tailback as far as Hamza, and then getting out towards Landis Road, then towards the Kamkunji roundabout. Nothing too painful at the moment, so we'll just keep an eye on things. Rilo Dingo Way, also free and clear. We are seeing a little bit of traffic then getting out towards Wilson Airport on Langata Road, and then out towards Timor at the interchange. On Gong Road doesn't look too bad either. There's an option for you to use. We're seeing a little bit of a hold up right around the Maritime or on Mombasa Road, but then it's free and clear all the way from Sabaki. It's like a dream. You might want to try that this morning. If you're out, you've seen what I'm talking about. If you're not, you're going to want to experience this. On the Eastern Bypass, getting out into the city, we're seeing some action there as well, in and outbound on Kangundo Road and Mayanja Road and Juja Road and, yes, Comac Road. Everybody's trying to get onto the outer ring and then get out towards the Thika Superhighway, which in turn is building up way past Clay Works today, moving really slowly. How about we take a look in about half an hour and see what it looks like then? Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text for 0127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
City, you were excited about
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
I was thinking that
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That all is not lost.
Parents,
you may be suffering, but there are people who are doing well on your behalf.
Okay.
On your behalf, okay.
Yes, I mean, they're Kenyans. And when you look at the amount of monies that are allocated for their salaries on a monthly basis, you realize there's hope, because they're not being paid by some foreign firm. They're being paid by companies in Kenya, Kenyan companies, and they're being paid huge salaries.
Yes.
There's a sector that represents us well when it comes to this delightfully hefty pays. It's called the banking sector. And then you dare say that I pick on them. I'm not picking. I'm merely saying that is what they... There is an article in the Financial Standard, on page 3 of the Financial Standard, and the headline is Top Executives of Listed Banks Who Earn 30 million a month. 30 million as in Kenya shillings.
What?
Yes.
A month as in 30 days?
In 30 days, like $1 million daily.
Like that?
Daily.
So we're here for 4 hours, that's 400,000.
Come on, Chesa.
No, can't be.
No, it's not.
But no, so, I like the arithmetic. That's the sort of estimate that you want. Yes.
This is where we want to be going.
Yes, but yes. When you consider that normal working hours, the duration is 8 hours.
8 hours.
So if you work 4 hours, just do half. You give them a discount. It's actually $500,000.
$500,000. What's the story?
The story is as follows. Okay, Coop Bank and KCB chiefs took home 765 million between them, combined. Okay, or 54% of the earnings by executives of listed lenders on the back of record earnings last year. Now, last year was 2021. Okay, last year COVID was still wreaking havoc. Last year, people didn't know whether they were going to stay alive or not. Last year, many people lost jobs. Last year, many people didn't even know whether they were going to eat.
There was lockdown last year.
Last year, very many things. But the banking sector, in its robust manner, were earning and making money. Now, this is not a negative thing. It's a sign that the economy had not died. The economy was alive and things were still happening. So let me just give you the details and the summary that has been provided for. Now, the list on page 3 talks about the bank, the CEO, the basic pay per year, other benefits per year, and the totals, okay, for 20 and 2021, okay? Start with Cooperative Bank. The CEO is a gentleman by the name of Gideon Muriuki. Basic pay per year 130 million, 0.7. That 7 is 700,000, just in case you don't know. Okay.
130 million shillings basic pay per year.
Per year. Sure? Yes. So just do the maths and you know what it comes to per month. Okay. Other benefits, 266 million, 0.4. The 0.4 again is 400,000.
Double the basic pay.
Yes. It's performance-based incentives that many CEOs negotiate with the employer. If you meet certain targets, you achieve certain goals, then
you get 200% bonus.
You get a hefty bonus.
Guaranteed.
It is yours.
Yeah.
In 2020, the total pay was total. If you add everything together, that means total. 377 million, 0.36. Again, 0.36 is 360,000. 2021, it was 397.1, meaning close to 400 million total. KCB Group, a gentleman by the name of Joshua Oigara, his basic pay per year was 76.4 million. Yes. Other benefits. This other benefit seems to be where the whole story is. 292.10. That's the 292 is million, okay? Now, total pay in 2020 was 116 million per year. 2021 is 368.5 million. Equity Bank James Mwangi, his basic pay is 78 million per year. Other benefits, this guy's not doing very well on the benefits, only 65 million, okay? So in 2020, his total pay was 278.5 and 2021, 143, okay? Stand chart, the gentleman called Kariuki Ngari, he takes 45 million shillings per year. Benefits, he's not doing like the other guys, 70.6 million per year. Total pay in 2020 was 90 million. 2021, it was 115. Absa Bank, a gentleman called Jeremy Worry. This guy's not doing very well. He got 35 million shillings basic per year.
Oh, no.
Other benefits, 70 million. Not doing very well on that front. 80.3 million in 2020 total, 106 in 2021. 2021 was a good year, man. Okay?
People are just doing well.
They were doing really well.
Apart from James Mwangi, who saw his drop.
No, James Mwangi dropped.
Yet his bank made over 200% jump in profit.
You get the impression that he took a salary cut.
Yeah.
You get that impression.
Or he reduced his role in the company.
Reduced his role in the company, reduced whatever. But somewhere along the line, the certain benefits that were accruing to him suddenly were either given. Let's say he didn't have them anymore.
Right.
So they couldn't, yes. NCB, a gentleman called John Gashora. Well, this guy's not doing too badly on the basic pay. 65 million. Okay. Other benefits he's doing really badly. 11.7 million. 81. 2020 was good for him. He got 81 million. 2021, he didn't do too well. 76 million. DTB, Nasim Devji. 61 million basic. Other benefits. This one is really, really, really bad. 2 million. Okay.
For the whole year.
Yes. Other benefits. 2 million. I'm reading.
Why are they being like this,
Why?
one?
That's
I don't
not
know.
fair.
But
Once somebody got 292 million and another person got 2 million.
Yes. Yes. Maybe they didn't negotiate properly like the other guys.
You think?
I think. Right. Total pay for 2020 was 62.9. 2021 they did well, 63 million. Good. Housing finance, Robert Kibara. His basic pay was 40 million. Other benefits, 9 million. 2020 he got 51. 2021 he got less, 50. I&M, Sarit S. Raja Shah. Okay, this guy got 31 million.
As basic pay.
And then other benefits, 13. 46 in 2020, 45 in 2021.
As in the Coop Bank guy was getting 130 million shillings a year. The I&M Bank guy is getting 13 million shillings a year.
Yeah, 13.13.
And you all sit somewhere and see we are bank
We are
CEOs.
You're in the same posse.
Some people.
Not fair now.
When they go to the Kenya Bankers Association, they have each the same vote.
You know, This is something the best we can do this story is tell it, because we're really far removed from this.
It's nice now to play.
Even those decimal points that I'm mentioning, they are beyond us. Okay? All right. Basic pay for the gentleman called in Sandbig Holding, Patrick Mweherie, 19 million. No, this guy needs to negotiate his name.
His salary.
No,
His what?
it's basic. 19 million. No, it's not good.
A whole year.
19 million only. No. Something isn't right here. Something isn't right. Okay. Then other benefits, 14 million. Total pay for 2021 was 34. In 2020, but they didn't even give any indication.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
You know how you do no physics, no chemistry. You look for trace. The acid test.
Hey.
Doesn't show. I beg. Wow, it's good to play in those places. Wow.
Okay, now this man called Gideon Morioki, the one who's earning the most,
around 10 million every month.
He also owns shares in this company, a 1.575% stake in this company.
Yes.
So when the bank declares dividends, he's going to get 102 million shillings dividends. On top of his salary.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Man.
The discussion about these pays just points to something very interesting. Okay? And what I find interesting is that whenever we talk about the economic growth of this country and how the country is actually growing and developing, something isn't being told in totality. Yes, banks making money doesn't mean that Kenya is doing well. It just means that those who have money and the government who needs money have guaranteed that the banks have money and the banks keep making money. Because part of what we borrow as a country is from it's called local debt, it's from our banks. Yes. And if we borrow from our banks, it's safe. The banks know at some point the government will pay them. When you hear that the government is doling out billions of money in payment, banks get their share.
Indeed.
Yes. And when banks get their share, we are told it contributes to what we are seeing as the economic growth. What I find a little bizarre about what I've just read is when I compare this with the abject poverty that some people find themselves in.
Boss.
Now that, to me, is the anomaly. It's what I find disturbing.
Yes.
How would you recalculate that if it were you? I mean, would you say that the bank executives should earn less?
Oh, no. They should just earn what they're earning. They should just be taxed more. They should earn exactly what they're earning. No problem. They are serving, but they should be taxed more. The only problem with the tax is
higher than 30%?
Yes, much higher than 30%.
Why?
For the simple reason that if you have that amount of money, even when we tax you 60%, the 40% that still remains is a great deal of money.
It's still a lot of money, so it's okay.
As I was saying, the problem with the taxation here is not the tax. It's not the tax in and of itself. No, that's not the issue. The issue is if we were taxed and the taxes went towards what they are supposed to do, I don't think even if we raise the taxes, people would complain because they would see the benefits. But the unfortunate thing is we are taxed, but one doesn't fully realize. And I'm not judging this by those who earn 3, 6-digit salaries and 10, 12-digit salaries. No, not those ones. I'm referring to people who worry about eating on a day, just a meal a day. Not 2 meals, not 3 meals, 1 meal a day.
So let's talk about the people in the basic pay, 13,000 shillings a month. Okay, they're still exempt from tax. Let's talk about the 24,000. Those earning 25,000 shillings a month.
Yes.
Who are paying pay as you earn. That's income tax.
Yes.
It's a lot of money that's getting out of that.
Yes, it is. If you look at the number of people who actually earn that money and you look at the tax, yes, it's a great deal of money. But what I'm saying is there is nothing wrong in earning what you're earning. But also there is a little concept of kurudisha mkono, as we call it in Kenya. Okay? You're making that money in Kenya off the backs of other Kenyans. There is nothing wrong in you giving back some of it. That is all.
I actually get what you're
There's
saying.
nothing wrong with it. But earn even 50 million a month. It is okay. Yes, it is fine. But let other
pay
people.
more.
Yes, let other people. Look, to those who much is given, much is expected. It is not complicated. It's a simple rule of life which I didn't create. It just exists.
The much that is expected is how much they put into their work.
Precisely.
These CEOs are working 10, 12, 14, 18 hours a day.
Yes, they do. They do. That is why I said they should earn what they earn. Nothing wrong with earning what they earn.
Okay. Yes. Let me tell you the story of, remember the story of a girl in Kenya, girl has a Belgian boyfriend, boyfriend sends money to girl, ARA wakes up, ARA looks and says, hey, there's a lot of money for this girl. What do you do, girl? Girl, I'm student. No, girl, this money laundering, girl, bring back money. Remember that story?
Remember that story very
The
well.
whereabouts of a college student at the center of a 108 million shillings gift probe remains unknown after she failed to present herself to detectives for her fingerprints to be taken. Lawyer Walter Owaga, who claims to represent Felista Nyamathira Njoroge, told the court that she gave birth in Belgium last month and has not been able to travel to the country to present herself before the DCI for identification. This revelation contradicted previous submissions by lawyer Thomas Maosa, who claimed that Njoroge is in the country and that they have instructions to present her in the case where the Asset Recovery Agency is seeking to recover the money for being proceeds of crime. The mystery of her whereabouts made Lady Justice Esther Maina to postpone the case for another 45 days to enable the DCI establish the real identity of the lady said to be a student at Nairobi Technical Training Institute. Since one of the lawyers claims that she's out of the country, the court will grant them another 45 days to present her for identification. But if she doesn't come, then we will assume that she is not the one, according to Justice Maina. In February, she had ordered the two lawyers to present the person they claimed to be Miss Njoroge before the DCI for her fingerprints to be taken to reveal her identity. Whereas Maosa told the court that Njoroge is in the country and they took her to ARA to record a statement, Owaga says the student is out of the country and is expectant. Both lawyers were clashing in court on who has instructions to represent the lady, and they had filed separate submissions on her behalf, which prompted the judge to issue the order that the real Miss Njoroge should present herself to the DCI for identification. This is
the real one. So now we're looking for
such
the real
high
one
drama
between two. One
see,
who could be in the
one
country
lawyer
and one
has
who
come
is
here
outside.
claiming
She
he
represents
has
Mr.
instructions
Njoroge.
from Miss Njoroge.
Yeah.
Another lawyer has come claiming he has instructions from Miss Njoroge. Lawyer A says, she's in Nairobi. We are taking her to record statement. The other one says, no, in fact, she's expectant. She's in Belgium. Now, lawyer says, she's given birth. She can't travel.
So
you see, now the judge is like, now I need to know who are we dealing with. Can DCI identify this person and bring the right person to court? Now, because we don't have the specimen,
literally,
case is postponed for another 45 days. This is, anyway.
Waste of time.
Yes. Waste of court time. This judge should have been hearing a case where somebody sitting in remand prison would have come to plead their case.
And gone home.
But the time was wasted by this particular one. Apana. It's not fair.
It's a discovery story.
Yeah.
You've all heard of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, right? Finally, science has figured out why healthy babies have been dying in their sleep. Researchers from the Children's Hospital in West Med in Sydney, in an official study on sudden infant death syndrome, say they now not only know how these infants die, but why. SIDS, which is commonly known as cot death, refers to the unexplained deaths of infants under a year-old, and it usually occurs when the child is sleeping. Babies have been dying suddenly and unexpectedly for centuries. In the first book of Kings in the Old Testament, written about in 500 BC, we read, "And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it." For many centuries, overlying by the mother, causing suffocation, was accepted as the cause of sudden unexpected infant deaths. It is not until the late 18th centuries that doctors began to explore other possible causes of such deaths, beginning with a hypothesis that these infants suffered from an enlarged thymus, leading to an internal suffocation. This was widely accepted through the 19th century and indeed into the 1930s when it became discredited. In 1969, a definition of the infant death syndrome was agreed upon at an international conference. The Sydney researchers today explain that they were able to confirm the theory that it was caused by a defect in the part of the brain that controls arousal from sleep and breathing. The theory was that if the infant stopped breathing during sleep, which sometimes you can feel as an adult, the defect would keep the child from starting or waking up. So usually if you're out of breath, you're startled and then you can restart yourself. But there's a defect in this particular child that then stops this startling from happening. And the researchers are saying that they've analyzed dried blood samples from newborns who died from SIDS and other unknown causes. Each sample was taken and compared with blood from healthy babies. They found the activity of the enzyme, which was significantly lower in babies who died of SIDS compared to living infants and other non-SIDS infants' death. This particular enzyme plays a major role in the brain's arousal pathway, explaining why SIDS typically occurs during sleep. Previously, parents were told that SIDS could be prevented if they took proper precautions, laying babies on their back, not letting them overbeat, and keeping all toys and blankets out of the crib were a few of the most important preventative steps. So, when the SIDS still occurred, parents were left with immense guilt, wondering why or if they would have prevented the deaths. So, according to this lead researcher, the study started about 29 years ago, and have said now that nobody could tell the cause of death, but they have now been able to work on it and find that they can now prescribe medication that will take care of that particular defect through a test that will be done on infant children.
How long should the medication be taken by the infant now? Is it lifelong? Is it for the life of infancy? Or is it a one-off? It'll be...
It doesn't say that, but they're saying this milestone is in the testing, that you can test now for this particular defect and then now treatment can be administered thereafter.
Can you screen a child at birth to know whether they have this defect?
That's what they're hoping for.
So you know. So as you're going home with your baby, you know, all right, so this one is predisposed to SIDS, so I should be very careful and alert. Whenever the child is asleep, I should be awake. Something like that.
So this is what they're saying, is that the findings represent the possibility for the identification of infants at risk at birth.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And so now what this would do is would open up for other interventions at that time. But they cannot do this. You know how you can do tests while the mother is still pregnant?
Yearly about resolution insurance, insurance and what happened to them, but I'd require a bit more time. But there's a big one. Remember the other day when Raila Odinga was it in Kamkunji, early in the week, and he was talking about what his government would do for the Jua Kali artisans, people who have a skill but they don't have the necessary academic qualifications or paper. It's actually something that has been done by government, and it was rolled out last year, which is called Recognition of Prior Learning, RPL, modeled on those of countries such as South Africa and Canada, which have given value to skills as opposed to the obsession with certificates. So what this one is basically is you have a skill. You are, an artisan, whatever. You are a painter, you're a carpenter, you're a mason. You have a skill, but you don't have the paper. You actually now can be recognized because of the number of years that you have worked and the kind of skill that you showed. So you can get certified at that level without not necessarily being told, Rode, Shule, Enda, Soma, do all those things. Like, here you are. Let's recognize your prior learning, which I think is a big thing. We should bring in someone from the government, maybe National Qualifications Authority.
I like that, actually.
To actually talk about this and explain, because there are very many people then who would benefit from this initiative.
Human resource practices for the longest time in this country, whenever people are thinking of...
You talk about that after the news?
Most certainly.
Sawa. It is 7 a.m. Good morning.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Dennis Aseto. As Raila Odinga officially announced Martha Karua as his running mate, his supporters have continued to pour cold water on the route ticket with Gachagua as his running mate, claiming that the two cannot be trusted by Kenyans. Here are statements from Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho and former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth.
Safari hii wajipange kuwa katika upinzani, sivyo? For only one simple reason. Raila Odinga na William Ruto ni kama usiku na mchana. Martha Karua na yule, unaweza kulinganisha kweli? Unaweza? Hii team tuko nayo ndio team bora. We do not have any other options. The alternatives are worse.
Odinga nominated his running mate from Mount Kenya region, a region considered to have a lot of votes.
And I am persuaded that you have the right pair of hands to accomplish this task. My dear Kenyans, cometh the hour, cometh the lady. I have the great honor to announce that I have picked as my running mate and Cabinet Secretary for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Martha Wangari Karua.
Now, Odinga and Karua are described as advocates and activists of the country's multi-party system and leaders who openly opposed those oppressing Kenyans.
We have history to judge us. When we were fighting for democracy, our primary competitors in this election were enjoying the status quo. When we pushed for a constitution to cement equity and non-discrimination as well as integrity in public leadership, they said no.
Meanwhile, while naming his running mate, Odinga named part of his cabinet should he win the presidency in that cabinet. Karua will be the deputy president as well as the chief minister for justice and constitutional affairs, giving her the task of successfully implementing the constitution, a role she embraced.
Baba has allocated me duties in advance. I want to confirm that I'm ready, able, and willing for those duties. Any desires to look at our constitution will be pursued, but within the rule of law.
Now, but as Odinga was announcing his running mate, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka made good his threat to ditch the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. Kalonzo, who made the big announcement, declared that he will be on the ballot come August 9th. Speaking from SKM Command Center, the former vice president went ahead to pick Andrew Latiff as his running mate, complying with IEBC timelines.
My brother Raila knows I'm naming my running mate. In fact, from Mombasa, he came home to try to convince me to accept his choice of our sister Martha Karua. We did not agree, and I said, let's sleep over it. We slept over it, and last night we are at it. We did not again agree, so this is why we agreed that you will name Martha and I will name my running mate today.
I accept the nomination to be the running mate of the presidential candidate of the Wiper Democratic Movement.
A disgruntled Kalonzo said he was not ashamed of his last-minute move after it became obvious that Kenya leader Martha Karua was said to be unveiled as Raila's preferred choice.
The terms of engagement under this Grand Coalition agreement is based on utmost good faith. And where there is no good faith, then you can't do business. And some of us have suffered the consequences of bad faith for far too long. Although the eminent persons have done their work, the final decision has actually been taken by the candidate himself, the Honorable Raila Odinga, his own decision, which I respect. And I wish him and his running mate, our sister Martha Karua, well. But I also made it very clear that if I know my country, if I know our country well, that decision will meet with overwhelming opposition.
Kalonzo had hoped to clinch the number 2 slot, but was relegated to be the chief cabinet secretary in the Azimio la Umoja government despite the president intervening in the matter. Kalonzo, who was flanked by KANU leader Gideon Moi, admitted that there were consultations with Raila and President Uhuru Kenyatta, but the ultimate decision to pick Karua was Raila's. This is News. I am Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
A little bit of traffic here and there on Mombasa Road today. Now that is building up just a few minutes after 7 o'clock. We're seeing it coming from the Weybridge out towards the SGR and then going towards Cabanas and then out towards North Airport Road, spilling over towards Embakasi and out on Outer Ring. That's where you see the most of the action happening on Mombasa Road this morning. Coming off of the Southern Bypass is looking pretty good. As you get off Enterprise Road and get onto Likoni and then towards the interchange, just at the Southern Bypass, you shouldn't have too much of an issue there. The long way into town, in this case, would be the better route because on Uhuru Highway there's quite the traffic situation getting out towards the Lusaka roundabouts and then the Bunyaru roundabouts and then out towards Haile Selassie. That's going to clog up some because of what's going on Jogo Road, spilling over towards Shauri Moyo out towards Kamkunji. So that's a whole mess this morning. The thicker superhighway, boom, boom, and some more boom. A lot of traffic here today. We're looking at in and outbound traffic on Kiambu Road as well. Probably going to get into the belly of Ridgeways in no time now. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Coming out of Westlands, use the Red Hill Link Road. I'm going to tell you really early. You might want to do that right now. Guys, let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Use the expressway where you can. Be a little bit patient. I was trying to figure out this exit issue. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist.
It's 8 minutes after 7.
A man
Good
who
morning.
believes.
Welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. Happy Tuesday from wherever you tuned in, like Olemwai, who is in Doha, Qatar, or Min Leclerc, who is in Kampala, Uganda, or Idewa Francis, who is in Mombasa County, or Amos, who's where? In Kirinyaga County. All those people, and many more. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Listen to today's provocative proverb by CT.
Congo Republic, that's where the proverb is from. A bald-headed man, presumably from the Congo Republic, will not grow hair by getting excited.
A bald-headed man will not grow hair from getting excited.
Yes, I am being specific because I do not want to be accused of sexual harassment.
Okay. Like the tribunal declared in the UK.
Yes.
This world will not allow you to talk again. Any small thing you say now, people start jumping and saying sexual harassment.
That's insulting. That's insensitive. That's not gender neutral.
You know, these people don't have the worries we have about serious things.
Honestly speaking.
Yes. So they look for things to worry about. So you're already bald.
What can you do?
Okay. I mean, there are all these guys who sell snake oil that's meant to grow hair back. So you try that.
But you see, they said calling someone bald at work is sexual harassment.
But is he bald?
Now, when he comes to work, does he come with his head or does he leave it behind?
Is he more
can
bold
call a man
at
bold
work?
in
Is
a
he
bar.
more bold at work than he is at home?
We'll take another. Home is not an issue. Call
Because there
him
are no
bold.
people. You can call him bold at home.
Call
but
him
don't
bold in a
at-
bar.
But is he bald? Is he bald?
See, now you're trying to. No,
You know,
no,
I'm
that,
just
that
applying
is that is
logic.
Why
now
don't we
harassment
extend
now.
this discussion
But
now?
that is now harassment.
Eric, for instance, okay, if someone calls you short, okay,
Are you short?
Are you short?
or are you not short? Okay, if someone calls you tall, are you tall or are you not tall? Okay, if you're one of these people who have the advantage of having an equal size right from your chest to your knees. Either which way, whether the portions are limited or the portions are plenty. You see, why is it that you want to now bring a discussion of disparity on something that should be embraced and accepted?
No, my mother will ask you, people don't have work to do, ba?
Precisely.
Don't have work to do. What are you talking about? Are you bald or not? Do you have, as in, your head is like this.
That's
No,
what
we're
it.
just
That's
stating the
that's
truth.
what it is.
That's what it is.
But more so in this day and age where people simply shave their hair bald and
Look,
it's accepted.
In fact, this proverb is for that guy.
Listen,
Whether you get very excited.
The tribunal was comparing, and they said, in a previous case, a man was found to have sexually harassed a woman by commenting on the size of her breasts.
They're too small, they're too big, kind of thing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
You have whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
This is commenting on the size of, saying that was sexual harassment. And they said that it's more likely the person receiving a comment such as that which was made in that case would be female. Okay?
Okay.
The one who's received a case about, just such a comment about you with the mammary gland. So too, it is much more likely that a person on the receiving end of a remark such as that made by Mr. King, who was this complainant supervisor, would be male. And yes, and that's why they are saying Mr. King, the supervisor, made... So the background of the case, for people who didn't hear this one earlier, is there's a man who worked at a company for 24 years, had a supervisor. He was an electrician. One time, he has, some back and forth with his supervisor, and the supervisor called, Kwenda Okoh, you bald-headed...
XYZ.
XYZ. And the XYZ is an expletive. So he went to court and said, I felt sexually harassed at work.
Of all the harassments available, why was it sexual?
The tribunal of 3 judges said Mr. King made the remark with a view to hurting the claimant by commenting on his appearance, which is often found amongst men. So he said, the same way we said, if a man comes here and has made such a lewd reference to a woman's breasts, and we said that is sexual harassment. Similarly, if a man comes here complaining that such lewd comments have been made about the baldness of his head, we shall treat it the same way.
Has
sexual
bald
harassment.
head been previously been connected or attributed to any kind of sexual activity?
No, they're connecting it now.
Now is when it has started getting the connection.
They've connected it.
They've said the tribunal determines that by referring to the claimant as a bald XXX, Mr. King's conduct was unwanted. It was a violation of the claimant's dignity. It created an intimidating environment for him. It was done for that purpose. And it is related to the claimant's sex.
It's okay. I don't get it.
That it is harassment. There's no question about
No
it.
question.
It is harassment.
Yes.
Essentially, you're insulting this person.
Yes.
You're speaking derogatively.
Yes.
But it's a sexual element that I don't get.
The sexual element is because of his gender. It is most likely that somebody who is bald is going to be male. Most likely, not only, most likely. The same way that it's most likely that somebody who will come to this court claiming to have been harassed based on their mammary glands is most likely going to be
So in this case, if this gentleman had hair on his head and he was called this expletive, it would not have been an issue.
No. It's something interesting. Not all men are bald. You now begin to get it.
And some bald men actually prefer to be that way.
Yes, exactly. Now, what I'm thinking of, something that could be used as a comparison, is if a woman had a beard, okay, and it was a sticking point, and you refer to it derogatively.
Yes.
It could be said it is sexual harassment.
Because it's not her fault.
Yes. So, from that point of view, I can see it.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For who?
So anyway, this is...
Moving right along.
Yes.
Yes.
Congo Republic. Okay, yes. It is not the UK.
It is Congo
Republic. Where bald people are told,
Omo.
do other things.
Yeah.
You're already bald, and getting excited is not going to help.
You will not grow hair
on your head.
That's not going to happen.
No, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Back to the conversation about the recognition of prior learning, which is a game changer. It's actually already being rolled out by the Kenya National Qualifications Authority. So the CEO, the Director General of the National Qualification Authority, Juma Mukhwana, says, as a society, that what moves us are skills. People do not always represent the skill one has. If you can't write or speak English, it's called illiteracy. But in which language does a mechanic repair a car? No wonder the tragedy now is that those without papers are looking for jobs and those without jobs are looking for papers. We want to dignify this. Those without papers are looking for jobs.
Exactly, you're fine.
Those without papers are looking for jobs and those without jobs are looking for papers.
Yeah.
So this new program called the Recognition of Prior Learning is seen as a pathway to help Kenya catch up with markets such as South Africa, where the skilled blacks who had resisted education as part of the protest against apartheid received such certification and made them useful in the economy. Kenya's economy is characterized by a shrinking formal sector and an informal sector that's increasingly expanding and absorbing entrants from schools and training institutions into the labor markets. President Uhuru Kenyatta issued a 30-day ultimatum to issue a policy framework for recognition of informal sector skills in 2019. That's when the country first drew up the RPL. The president said the policy would address unfairness in tendering for contracts, which often locks out Juakali artisans and craftsmen due to lack of papers. So the KNQA recently held a workshop in Nakuru to fine-tune the policy framework ahead of a national RPL conference that will officially roll out the program across the counties.
You know, it's interesting that the government is playing catch-up. I'm going to explain what I mean.
Yeah, explain.
You see, for the longest possible time, many people in the HR practice, what they call talent recognition, whatever name they now give it.
Talent masters.
Yes. When you were being appraised at the end of, say, financial year, one of the things they looked at is something they call experience, meaning the length of time you've taken in a job.
Yes.
Now, at some point, it would be equated to any paper qualifications that you may also have. So somebody may actually have XYZ qualification, but the other person has worked on that job over a long period of time. Now, where the exemplification of this comes in, let's talk about people who are trained in the technical subjects. For the longest time, you would find employers preferred people who had been trained in the polytechnics. And part of the reason was because whenever people were trained in the polytechnics, they simply didn't study continuously for 3 or 4 years and then start working. Study for 2 years, attachment, a practicum, okay? 3-6 months, you go back and study. You finish another practicum. So that by the time the person eventually graduates, they actually know what it is that they're doing.
Yes.
Because they've been attached to industries that actually need that sort of skill.
Yes.
And they would advance. And they took it even further. If you didn't have the wherewithal to go to some of these so-called polytechnics, they were village polytechnics, and then they were what they called trade tests.
Yes.
So you could actually, the government provided this examination so that your knowledge could be put on paper. But now, the real proof of this particular pudding is in the consumers of the products or the services people offer. No one ever asked the mechanic which school they went to.
Yep.
No.
Or the person or your carpenter.
Yep.
Or your plumber. Nobody asks you. It is known this person can do the job. That's why I said the government is playing catch-up. The consumers have long acknowledged and recognized this, the very thing we're talking about here, and have been willing to pay for it. And they'll tell you, so-and-so is very good at what they do. And usually they are really very good at what they do.
Yes.
Now, what the government is saying makes perfect sense in that let's formalize it in a way that it wasn't before. But again, okay, let's give credit where it's due.
I see what they're trying to address.
Yes.
What we're trying to address here is basically, like you're saying, it's recognizing the situation on the ground.
Yes, they are.
The situation on the ground, just like Mukhwana is saying, when you take your car to the garage, you're not asking the mechanic to speak to you in English and tell you blah, 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 and explain with the aid of clearly labeled diagrams what the problem is. You just want them to fix your car.
That's it.
If you take your car and you want it to be, if it's some bodywork and there's some panel beating, you want the car straightened out. That's it. Now, unfortunately, for very many of these artisans, these Juakali artisans, they're not able to participate in the formal market. They will not be able to participate in tenders because the tendering process requires, you need to show us that the owner of this company has this skill and qualification. Skill and qualification in Kenya is known as paper, academic paper. Now, without that, what even Raila was saying last week was, so you'll find somebody called so-and-so who is the one person who has got some paper from a polytechnic or an engineering degree, is the one who starts a company, is the one who will put in the bid, and then he will go to the Juakali sector and pick the mechanics.
Those technically qualified people.
To do the job.
Yes.
Those guys would never bid directly for this job.
Yes.
So this guy becomes a middleman and he takes a huge part of the earnings. So now he's saying with RPL, what you're going to be able to do is that person will be recognized and they'll get the qualification and the paperwork to actually get them to come together. If they want to form a group, a company, they can bid. They want to get a job. So let's say we're talking about these big banks that are making big money and they have all these many branches and they want to repaint their branches. What do? They advertise. They are listed companies. They've got to follow due process. Advertise for tenders for people to come and paint. So who's going to apply? It's not the ordinary guy who paints. Some guy who has formed a company and called the XXXX, whatever.
But then sure probably hires the ordinary guy.
And pays him
peanuts to get the job done.
Yes.
You see? And it was interesting because I met a fella from the Netherlands, and he is a painter. This fella is on holiday in Malindi and is able to send his kids to really good schools. He's able to come on holiday. He's a painter. So now if you do the comparison between this guy that we are talking about who forms a company really quickly and then hires a guy that is going to pay less than 500 shillings a day for the job kind of thing, they have professionalized these careers. So you've gone to school to learn the science of painting. And we're not talking about painting on an easel that you then put a picture up on your wall. We're talking about buildings and then what it would require to make sure that the paint job lasts for some time, for example, that you're doing. I mean, they go as far as professional mixing of colors and things like that. So one guy is walking around with this wealth of knowledge because he's gone to school and is able to make a career out of it. How many people that you can see in this so-called informal sector then have been given in terms of priority to train in these matters? For a lot of people, it's okay, I buy a paintbrush, I know I need a scooper to get rid of the old paint, and I can just put the thing on and go. But then can we professionalize these organizations, professionalize them? And I think it's about time that we did. Masons, draftsmen, painters, plumbers. You call your neighborhood guy to come and fix the leak in your tap. And maybe they could actually do something better than that. And then now, do we see a relation between the non-training, proper, I'm talking about proper training here of these guys, and then some of the issues that we see in infrastructure, that you then have to call people from outside the country to work on infrastructure, number one, or that you go into a building and the finishing is really poor because of this kind of thing.
What we need to do
direct relationship
is recognize, because I think there's also the thing where yes, that person started off, it was an accident. They cleared high school, they couldn't go into college, their parents could not afford, and so they started working at their uncle's
as an apprentice.
Yes. But they have acquired skill and they have inherent talent.
Yeah.
They have become very good painters. They actually know the paints. They may not call the paints by their code
or the process
know how
by
to
the
mix
name,
the paint,
yeah.
but they know, and they can just look at paint and tell you this is good quality paint, this is not good quality paint. They can paint very well. They are very good. Now, how can we recognize that skill? Because that is a skill acquired through very many years of doing it over and over and over and over again. And instead of telling this person, you can paint, you can recognize colors, but do you know what Pantones are? If you don't know Pantone, go back to college.
You know what is also of interest? There's something at play here, apprenticeships.
Yes.
Because these people, it's not that they weren't school, it's just that it was informal learning or non-formal learning, but they were taught. They worked under somebody who probably had some formal training, and over the years they acquired the skills. And if they had the wherewithal, they even added to it. Now, what is actually of interest, even as we have this discussion, is how it is that by simply change, it's good the president asks for a framework and to ask for a policy to put this thing into practice. But if you look at that sector, they themselves have understood this thing better than most people. And that is why they formed themselves into SACCOs. They've formed into, because they've realized if you are working on your own, my friend, you'll be hung out to dry.
Yep.
So you need a support system of people who can back up your work. You know how you used to see Juakali mechanics where you find there's one person working?
Yeah.
It's no longer the case.
It's not.
That same Juakali, there'll be somebody who's doing the washing, there's somebody who's doing the painting, meaning it's a group of
an
people.
Electrical guy.
Yes, different. And there'll be somebody who actually has the licensure for that particular place. And they themselves may also be a mechanic or whatever they may be.
Yes.
But under that one umbrella, they'll provide all the services that you will likely require. And among them, if you talk to them, you'll find that one or two of them probably worked for some of these big organizations at some point.
Yep.
So if you talk about the knowledge and the skill and the training, it exists.
Absolutely.
The thing is now, though, is that this person who worked for, let's just give a name here, worked for DT Dobie,
yes.
got trained. Guys from Mercedes came and trained them on exactly how to service this particular Mercedes model. Then they left DT Dobie and opened their own garage. They took in their apprentices. They have trained them. They've brought them to a certain level. The problem is that apprentice will always remain to mkono in the eyes of the formal market.
Yes.
And now we've got to recognize this guy has worked under so-and-so for so many years. This guy understands. The only thing, even if he's calling it shokomsoba, does he know what he's talking about?
What he's talking about. You know, there's something that I found very interesting. Exposure is everything. There is a car manufacturing company that also has retail outlets in Kenya that recently changed its name from what it previously was. Now, what I found interesting about this company was they rated the garages that had their franchise.
Yes.
And I didn't know how until I started talking to one such person who actually owned a franchise. And he told us, we are categorized. Said, like, this place that we are at is the highest categorization. And there are three of us in East and Central Africa. I asked him, explain, how do they determine? He said, no, it is not the building. It is determined by the technicians that you have and the training that they have. So he asked, what do you mean? He said, we have technicians here who are certified in Japan. Not certified by the Japanese in Kenya. They're certified in Japan. Meaning they've understood how cars, blah, 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 fix, shock absorber, blah, 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 ball joint ball. But
Center Borut.
That one, which makes the car go wobbly, wobbly. Then they've gone abroad. So it's again expertise.
Yeah.
What were they being? It was exposure. They already understood how these things work. But that greater exposure and now detail, not just detail, but specialized detail, so that the element of fault is reduced to a minimum.
Yes.
So quality, a certain level of quality guarantee. So I asked the question, explain to me what you mean. I said, first of all, we guarantee that the spare parts are genuine. But we give you a guarantee on the spare part.
It's a genuine.
Yes, we give you a guarantee on the spare part. Yeah. If over this period of time that spare part has a problem, you come back. We're not going to ask you questions. We replace. I said, what else? There are other guarantees. So I said, why do you give these guarantees? He said, it's because the quality of service that we are offering has to come with certain guarantees. Otherwise, we are not different from anybody else. Now, if that is the level that is taken by people who sell vehicles and want to maintain their clientele, because that's what you're trying to do, ask yourself, why do you find the Juakali sector having the clientele there? Because they have clientele. Because they have also gotten to a point where they can produce that quality that you're talking about.
That's true.
So you don't have to worry. You know what you're asking for will get done. Now, this certification will be a good thing for them.
It will be a big thing.
It'll be a huge boost.
So we're talking about, even opening up and going to work at one of the EPZs where, they're looking at high level of expertise as a seamstress. We were talking about this the other day.
Yes, we were.
Do we have a shortage of seamstresses in this country?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Why? It's because of this lack of exposure as well.
Yes.
So this will raise the level of expertise and skill.
And it'll force those in the market and without then to acknowledge that the skill and expertise is actually up there. So it's either you pay for it, the level of expertise.
Yes.
So it forces that to happen because you realize, hold on, you're not going to be able to get your run-of-the-mill guy down here who's going to do a shoddy job and then you pay him peanuts, but that it forces the market to be accepting of that expertise and skill and then pay good money for it.
Actually, why do you think, for instance, these EPZs and all these zones were created? Partly it was to expand and enhance that skill set that we're talking about. But it also makes the country a viable place to have such a business because you have the skilled manpower. In the absence of that skilled manpower, nobody will want to set up any industry for you to work in because they know full well that you will not be able to meet the demand.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Take a break. It's 7:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We are live on SpiceFM. We are also live on YouTube and Facebook. We are looking at the big stories of the day today. Sticking around because at 8 o'clock we'll be joined by Sophia Onuna from KTN. And she'll be here as our guest host at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Kisumu County, are you ready? Kenya, are you ready? Africa, are you ready?
Yes, we are always ready.
Kisumu City County has grown to be trusted to host visitors from Africa and the world in the 9th AfriCities Summit to be held between the 17th to the 21st of May 2022. With every opportunity in all sectors, we invite you to come and join us for this wonderful event that will host over 800 delegates, over 250 investors and major African companies. The theme for this year's summit is the role of intermediary cities of Africa in the implementation of Agenda 2030 of the United Nations and the African Union Agenda 2063. For more details, visit www.africities.org.
Remember when Silas reminded McKenna,
there's different kinds of justice.
Prepare for the return of detective duo McKenna and Silas, fighting to protect their lives as they discover a justice system infiltrated by a mysterious cartel. So, will the law prevail? Get ready for Crime and
Cloudy
Justice
conditions
Season
in
2.
Nairobi at 16, highs of 24 today. At 15 degrees, Nakuru is sunny, highs of 26 and lows of 14. We'll see 14 as the low and a mostly cloudy Nyeri at going to highs of 23. It's 14 degrees and sunny conditions in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 12. Light rain continues in Mombasa at 26, highs of 30 and lows of 25. It's also raining in Malindi with the same numbers. 30 will be the high, lows of 25, currently at 26. It's partly sunny in Kisumu at 20, highs of 29 and lows of 19. While Kakamega is sunny at 19, we'll see highs of 28 and lows of 16. It's 10 degrees and clear in Johannesburg, highs of 17 and lows of 8. Kampala is partly sunny at 22. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 19. Sunny conditions at 23 in Dar es Salaam, highs of 31 and lows of 23. While Lagos is cloudy at 26, it'll go to highs of 33. 33 will also be the high in a clear Kinshasa, currently at 23.
Sugar and spice and everything nice.
right, so at the exit on the expressways, we're seeing some action this morning. And again, folks, have to sit this one out with some patience. For those who are using the other roads this morning, we're looking at some traffic on Langata Road, actually quite heavy as you get towards the Wilson Airport, out towards the Timor interchange. We'll see traffic there for some time this morning as those roads try to do this merry dance of traffic. Rilo Dingawe in and outbound, some traffic here this morning. And we're looking at Gong Road, really busy this morning, all the way out towards Community. Everybody joins to Huru Highway, whether you're coming from the east or west of the city. And it's probably going to take some time to get out of this one, getting out towards the city and then through to Westlands. The Thika Super Highway is doing the business this morning. It's crazy. Way past the junction of Outer Ring. And then we're seeing some action going out then towards Tusker Village. Kiambu Road in and outbound traffic still continues. We're seeing the same thing on Limuru Road this morning. Coming out of Westlands, you want to reuse the Red Hill Link Road because Waiyaki Way is pretty busy as you're trying to get into the belly of Westlands. Keep an eye on things this morning and let's see what's going on where you are. You want to talk to us? Do it. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice and everything nice. All right.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
24 minutes to 8. Again,
Mornings done right. 94.4.
I'm telling you, it's madness. We're looking at driving through to the underpass just past Pangani and then it stops. But major traffic, and we're looking at bumper to bumper. It's more than red.
So Thika Superhighway all the way from Drive-In coming towards Muthaiga Junction. Kiambu Road all the way beyond DCI coming towards the junction.
Well beyond DCI.
Well beyond DCI. Heading towards Pipeline Estate. Right?
Yep.
And then when you get to the interchange with Wangari Maathai, because that's the end of Thika Super Highway, by the way.
Yes.
From there, it becomes Muranga Road.
Yes.
When you get into that, at Pangani, you go into Muranga Road and into the tunnel. Take a right, go to Wangari Maathai, go straight, go into Muranga Road towards Ngara. Clear.
No traffic at all.
Which tells you that there's something, and that's always where the problem is every morning.
Why?
Every day.
Because you're talking about all this traffic, 4-lane traffic on Thika Superhighway being joined by
Kiambu
Road traffic, all of them coming, and then they're meeting into that tunnel, which is a constricted
Everybody's coming
area.
into the tunnel.
And everybody, especially now the people who are coming from Kiambu Road, who want to come to town and don't want to go to Ngara, they have to go to the right. So they're joining the road from the left. They've got to immediately cross the right so that they can take the right into the Wangari Maathai Road. Creates
so
a bottleneck.
You still get stuck, whether you're going to use Muranga Road and go directly to the Globe Cinema overpass, or whether you're going to go Wangari Maathai getting onto.
And when you get to the Globe,
either way, you all have to go through that tunnel.
You will meet another gridlock.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Which we can see right now. If you're looking at now getting into the city, right there, coming in from Muranga Road
into Kirinyaga Road.
This is the Globe Cinema overpass right here. And look at what's happening there. Going to Kirinyaga Road, going to the Globe flyover. It's a mess.
Something needs to be done on that section in Muthaiga. Because it's clearly there's an issue. Every morning you are guaranteed that as long as there's traffic coming on Thika Road and Kiambu Road meeting at this place, is going to cause a gridlock that will tail back all the way to Survey and beyond. And all the way to DCI and beyond. And when you get past that tunnel, it clears.
It clears.
That tells you that tunnel is an issue.
And the thing is, all traffic is forced through the tunnel, regardless of where you're going.
It doesn't matter. You want to go to Pangani, you have to get here.
Yes.
You have to get.
Yeah.
Shida?
A big one. Big Shida here.
Was there a flaw in the design?
It looks like.
Those are questions that you need to ask. It's like now we're talking about the expressway and we'll start noticing some issues. For example,
we have begun, haven't we?
The exit at Museum Hill coming back onto the road as you're heading towards Westlands.
There seems to be
there's no acceleration lane. So vehicles coming from the expressway, exiting at Museum Hill toll station and joining the other vehicles at Bellevue heading towards Westlands and
they all meet.
They all meet, and there's no acceleration lane for the oncoming traffic, for the joining traffic. They just sort of like enter into the road.
That
issue.
There is an issue. What I sometimes wonder is, in the design, was the acceleration lane? There must have been one.
There must have been one.
Oh, there must have been one in the design.
Or if there wasn't one, then you have to question the people who are in charge of the design.
As per why there wasn't.
You know.
Yeah.
This is traffic joining into a highway. How can you just enter without
These are experts, man. This is what they do. You cannot tell me with the traffic in Nairobi that you would not have something as simple as an acceleration lane.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is.
Lane.
Acceleration
lane.
Lane.
Yeah. Okay. Similar thing that's happening. Look at General Motors, all right? So the expressway has created an interchange there. And now it has had to be blocked off because of the chaos it was causing. Vehicles coming from Imara Daima heading towards town, but they want to turn back at GM, maybe going to Imara Daima, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they get to this small roundabout that has been built here, they are on the right without a deceleration lane, without an exit lane. So you suddenly turn right.
And you're in traffic immediately.
You're in traffic. You're getting off the traffic on the fast lane to turn into the roundabout. Then the vehicles that are coming from all these guys who are working along this side of ours, from Airtel to Standard Group Center to Bob Mill, and they want to cross over to the other side of the road, going towards town. You get to that section, there's no deceleration lane. You get into that small roundabout, the guy is just chaos.
And if, you see, that gives you an opportunity to turn and go towards town.
Yes.
Now you head towards the airport.
Now they have blocked it because of the kind of gridlock it was causing.
Yeah,
if you look
causing
now,
traffic.
it's actually started to improve. It's still an issue, and you can see it's still red.
Yeah.
From Imara Daima coming all the way up to that junction. After that junction, it moves.
It's moving.
It tells you there's an issue here.
You know, one of the things that I believe is taken into consideration when designing a road is the traffic that you expect. This traffic is not a secret. We know what the traffic is.
Yes.
Okay? And you even know the peak hours of the traffic. So you're telling me that when this road was being designed and when they were implementing all these wonderful schemes that we're now seeing, that this had not been taken into consideration.
Imagine.
Something good, though, is happening. They're demarcating the road.
Say what?
Yeah, you can see lanes.
They've started doing the lanes again
you know.
on the old road without having repairs.
Without having, smoothen the road and figured out that whole mess.
Something even better is happening. It was in the news yesterday that the contractor for the expressway has been given a contract worth 9 billion shillings to repair the road that he spoiled on the A8.
Yes.
Not much, just 9 billion.
He's the one who messed it up in the first place.
To do the repairs.
He should have been part of that thing. You're going to screw up with what's going on down here. You fix it. This expressway should not have been deemed complete had this mess up that happened on the lower road not been sorted out. All these things that we're talking about the other day. But now you say expressway is complete. Now let's give you some more money to now fix one that you messed up in the first place.
You see, the question is, so what was the plan?
You're
Because
assuming there was
initially, the budget that had been given for the expressway has actually overshot by over 10 billion shillings.
Yes.
Now we are at 88 billion shillings. That's what they say. So what was the plan? Was there no plan that when you finish, you shall repair the A8?
Surely.
Or when you finish, at least give the A8 a facelift? I mean, what was the benefit?
Eric, all that was there. And if you talk to people who have seen the plan, remember when there was all dust in all manner of places and you're wondering, surely, did they not consider this, that when they were doing, they would be, all that was considered. The lighting, the plan as it is, I am informed, is something wonderful to behold. But what we're calling the finished product, and even that paint they're putting on the road, because it's paint, right?
It's paint now.
There is a very specialized paint that you actually use for roads. It's not this paint used for houses. No, it is not specialized. But
Reflective.
yes, I am told that there's some element that is like ground glass that is actually added to that paint. That's what I'm calling specialized paint, so that even at night you can clearly, very visibly see where you are going. What I'm seeing here, if it rains properly, once, we'll be back to factory settings. But for now, I was delighted because I could actually see the lanes. I was happy this morning.
You can see there's a lane.
I can see there's
but
a
it's
lane.
only at some sections. So you get to a place there, they've redone the lanes, and some places they haven't done the lanes.
Yes.
Pedestrian walkways, have you noticed? Have they done anything?
Do they even exist?
Where are they? That's my question.
I mean,
I want to
let's
know where
discuss
they
them.
are.
Where are they, Eric?
That's the question I'm asking.
Oh, okay. Because I have not seen them.
Because if you are a pedestrian and you are at near a stadium, yes, there's like a place you can sort of like go up, come down.
That's a footbridge.
And that's where I've gone. You missed that one. Baba, if you are hoping that you will find another footbridge as you come towards Standard Media headquarters, you will walk.
Only the Kidero one. You'll find the Kidero one at Bellevue.
Now,
Between
now, Bellevue is not exactly around the corner.
From Nyayo Stadium to Bellevue.
It's not around the corner. It's a very decent walk.
Indeed.
And then from Bellevue?
Now, from Cabanas, if you're looking at Cabanas going east, right? All the way. Do you remember?
East is which one?
East is this way.
Where the sun usually comes from.
So east is Mombasa?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Remember that halfway, that thing you're talking about, the stairs in the sky, it's called what? Footbridge. Remember the halfway completed footbridge? So now they've added some, steps to it and made it semi-complete. Now, between Cabanas, the next footbridge is that one. Between Cabanas and that footbridge, as you approach Mlolongo, there is no other footbridge.
There's nowhere else you can
There's
cross.
nowhere else you can cross. Imagine the folks who are at Gateway, for example, which happens to still be a bus stage, right? If you're trying to get to the other side of the road, remember that the expressway is in the middle. If you're
And
trying
it
to
has
get
a
to the other
chicken mesh
side of
fence.
the road, you will climb up this newly constructed bridge that takes you over to the other side. But you're not alone. You're with vehicles.
They haven't put a pedestrian lane there.
Nothing. There's nothing there. You will walk. You will take a.
So from Gateway, if you want to go to SGR, how do you go?
You will walk if you're walking.
So you have to use that interchange.
Yes, you will walk with the vehicles that are also going up
Essentially,
there.
you'll walk like a car.
Indeed. And pray to God that you get knocked over. You won't get knocked over the side of the road, which, by the way, has not been completed with a metal bridge to stop cars from barreling over the side. Okay?
Previously, how would you cross?
There was a stage. There was a pedestrian crossing in the middle of the road.
And then you just jump.
There's a pedestrian crossing.
So there was a zebra crossing.
Yes. So with now the expressway has taken that away completely, and there's no option for folks who are getting from Gateway Mall, for example, crossing over to the side where Kappa Industries is. That would then take you to the bus stage that takes you to the city. Those don't exist anymore. Now, if you want to go to the city, you climb over that thing, you descend, and then you find your way somewhere. A vehicle will stop.
Is
for
there
you.
a bus stop that has been made?
No. The bus stop was taken away. There has not. That's what I'm saying. You will find a matatu stopping somewhere.
So where do matatus stop?
Anywhere. That's what I'm telling you.
Eric, just think back to even Westlands, where we knew that there was a terminus for matatus.
Yeah, heading towards Kangemi.
Yes, where is it now?
It's somewhere.
Precisely
anywhere.
now.
That's
So
the same
where,
thing
so
here.
where do the matatus park? Bang, in the middle of the road.
Yes.
So at any given time, there will be a jam.
Similarly, as you're coming towards town, at the mall, they've done the same. In fact, they're blocking entry into
the
SGR.
SGR, no, into the
Not
expressway.
SGR, expressway, yes.
Yeah. At Westlands, you always find that bottleneck there because
that's not what you do.
Vehicles are trying to board their passengers, and that is the entry towards the expressway at that Westlands toll right there.
And also, for the longest time, there was some rhino charge experience that you'd have if you want to sort of like find your way.
Crossing over from
the
one
side and going towards the Westlands itself. The higgledy-piggledy nature of the road. It was... Now, the question that one must honestly ask is, all these highly trained people who work for our various roads enterprises, surely, for all the money that Kenyans are taxed and for all that we pay, is this a service? Are we getting value for our money?
One would hope.
We're supposed to be, no, you just sit and be happy an expressway is being built. No, we are not happy. Sorry.
You know, this thing, we ask about design flaw and was there negligence or was there what? I think there was total blatant disregard of what was going to happen for the other parts of the road, save the expressway.
Oh, yes.
That's it. There was no thought about, no. It was, we're building this expressway. Whatever happens on the side and below is really not our concern.
What I think
there was
is
no regard whatsoever.
There's a plan for it.
But it was going to invite more money.
That issue, the matter
part two of contracting.
Yes,
we'll bring it in later when the
Part
money element can
part
be
two,
discussed.
the cost. In fact, there's an article in the Business Daily. Road spending in the country has exceeded the budget by 5.5 billion.
Right. Yeah. Which roads are these?
Roads generally. Roads in Kenya, the ones which you're supposed to build.
Are there some that are
Let me
notoriously
just read.
beyond?
The 10-month expenditure by the department, largely in charge of roads and bridges, is 8.69 billion more than the 59.9 billion initially approved last June. Last June, there was this money. Now, we have added this 8.69 billion. But again, we are supposed to just get used to what happens. Cost overruns. Why then do you bother budgeting and telling us what it's going to cost in the beginning? When you know full well that we're going to go into cost overruns. Now, somebody will tell you, you know something? Because of Ukraine and Russia, before it was COVID, but now because of Ukraine and Russia, now what has happened, and then you remember also China, then also what the materials we need for building, you're thinking, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? When you're building the road, you made arrangements to buy these things at a certain cost. It was understood. Ukraine war started the other day, and it's not as though we had left the planet when it started. We have been here. We know when it started.
Yes.
But some reason will be given, and when you ask very many questions, the response you'll get is absolute silence. So now you figure out.
By the way, now that we talk about this, remember in December last year there was an accident on the way to Mwingi.
Yes, there was.
Well, from Mwingi going to those places, that Enzio bridge that killed people. And the PS was there, and I mean, this is a project that had started, it had not continued. The PS for infrastructure, Paul Maringa, said some 30 million shillings has been set aside now to complete this road. He said the government has resolved to go full throttle in ensuring the construction works begin as anticipated to end the misery for locals plying the Nguni No road that traverses through the Killer River. This one, we are in May.
Yeah.
The bridge has not been completed.
Oh, okay. And it was supposed to be completed that time immediately.
It was to be done by
that
February.
Time immediately.
Yes.
Not February this year.
Yes.
I see.
The Nzio Bridge, the one where people died when they were crossing this river going towards Nu for a funeral. That bridge is yet to be completed. Why? Who knows, man? Full throttle is not full throttle if it's not in the public eye. Or full throttle is not full throttle if it's not some direct benefit.
And they have to be reminding you that we have not forgotten every day. If not, nobody's going to think about it. When everything is highly emotive and people are making noise, that's when you can make these promises. In fact, we're going to do. The minute they stop making noise.
Who do we hold to account? I mean, who's supposed to be responsible for this? Because the story around this bridge, my friend, spans many years and it's varied. People have come and gone. They've been in positions of authority. They've made promises, come, gone. Others have now come. The drama that surrounded funerals, people attending, what? Done, finished, gone. Bridge.
Road construction started in 2017. It was launched by the president when he was going around launching projects ahead of his campaigns in 2017. He launched that particular road project from Nu to Nguni, 35 kilometers, launched by the president in June 2017. 5 years down the road, it was still remaining a killer spot. By December, people were dying. When the PS comes there and says, yeah, people, I'm sorry, this has happened. It should not have happened. In fact, now we are setting aside money. We are giving the contractor money. Finish this thing. Will be finished. Remember, and we even talked about it here. He said it will be finished in 2 months. It will be done. We are in May, not yet done. Lest we forget, Ni Kenya yetu hii.
Where?
Ni Kenya. So I promised to tell you a story about resolution.
You did.
Can I?
Please do.
So you all know that resolution has been placed under statutory management
Yes.
by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, right?
Yes.
Now the story of resolution has been told here on page 4 of the Financial Standard. There were some shareholders that had come in called Income Group that had taken some substantial shareholding into this company to the tune of 62.8%.
That's majority shareholding, Bob.
Absolute majority shareholding, right? But this is what they're saying. We were treated like flower girls. That's what the majority shareholders
How
say.
do flower girls get
The majority shareholders in the Troubled Resolution Insurance say they were treated like flower girls and denied access to crucial information that would have rescued the underwriter. They spoke exclusively to the Financial Standard. Lincoln Services Limited co-director Michael Cranfield said alongside his partner Dominic Persad, they faced resistance in implementing what they considered key in saving resolution. We have been very clear with every party involved that money is not the solution. We don't have millions of dollars to throw at problems. The solution here is to ensure that you are not throwing money at something that will catch fire again. You have to be able to realize a return on investment. So they say, when they came in and they took up this majority shareholding, their expectation was that they were going to be sitting on the in management, not on the board, in management, and therefore dictating how the company operates. One of the things that they wanted to do is taking resolution back to what it was known for, health insurance.
Yeah.
It had diversified and gone into motor vehicle insurance, which was its biggest loss-making revenue stream. And so these new shareholders were saying, we wanted to come, find a way of exiting that and just go back into being health providers. However, there's a small matter of the law, okay? The Insurance Act 2020 bars one from being appointed as an executive director, a managing director, principal officer, or any other senior management official of an insurer if such a person directly or indirectly controls more than 20% stake. Lincoln has 62.8% stake. That means they cannot be managing director, they cannot be executive director, they cannot be principal officer, they cannot be in management. When they were buying these shares, the law was in effect. So I don't know what they were thinking. Then they come and realize, wait a minute. What do you mean? We can appoint so and so to be? No, you can't. Sorry. Okay. They start complaining to IRA. IRA tells them, boss, it's the law.
It's not us.
They reached out to the Insurance Regulatory Authority asking to be allowed to roll up their sleeves and get to work. The response was, this is the law. It doesn't help us, but we have to comply with it. It just made it life a lot more difficult for us. You can't run the company by committees. We're told, so what you can do is you're in the board. Sit in board committees and you can now influence at board committee level. But you cannot be executive.
Why not?
Was this clear?
Law.
And this has always been in the law. You should know this at the time you're coming in.
Yep. The Insurance Act of 2020, it says if you're the owner, you cannot be the manager. Just to make sure that we separate that whole issue of insurances going under, because
but can you decide
owner was deciding.
True, but can you decide who the manager is?
Yeah, you're sitting in the board.
So I still don't see where the problem is, because if managers are there by proxy, so if you are on the board and you can determine or you can influence who becomes manager, were they prevented from making that particular choice?
That's a good question.
Because they themselves were not going to come to run the company on a daily basis. Somebody else was going to do it. So I don't understand.
They wanted to put somebody directly in charge of it.
Yeah, but
right?
But the law doesn't prevent them from doing that.
Well, they can hire somebody who is...
It should just not have been somebody who had the majority shareholding.
No.
You can hire, you're a majority shareholder, you can hire somebody who is not from within
From within that shareholding.
To be the manager.
To be the manager, which they didn't do.
Which means you can hire somebody who probably works for you in whatever branch you have, whatever it is you are.
Yes.
That may raise issues.
Why will it raise issues? But that person is not a shareholder, he's just an employee.
Well, they made a boo-boo here because they should have known that you couldn't make one of your shareholders then your manager.
No, this thing is not making sense.
According to the law, you couldn't do it.
No, it's still not making sense to me because I don't see what they're prevented from doing. If you want to influence what happens on a daily basis and you are the major shareholder and you're on the board, what is this thing that was preventing you from having someone of your choice to actually run the company? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, that's why we're saying they made a mistake. They should have known that you couldn't do it, but they did not.
But the law doesn't say you can't do that. The law says it is you as the owner who can't do it.
We'll bring Nyeri to answer. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Good morning, this is News. I am Dennis Aseto. Tharaka-Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki will take a break from active politics. Kindiki, who lost to Mathura MP Rigathi Gachagua to become Kenya Kwanza's presidential flag bearer running mate, said that he would fully support the UDA outfit to ensure victory for Deputy President William Ruto in the August polls.
I have taken the decision to take a break from elective politics starting 10th of August 2022. I will use the break to reorganize myself, and after prayerful reflection and consultation, I have decided that I will not be seeking for any appointive position whatsoever. However, I will remain available to my country in future should an opportunity arise to seek leadership positions.
The two-time Tharaka-Nithi senator said he was extremely satisfied with the process that led to the naming of Gachagua as the running mate. Kindiki also noted that he will not be seeking for any appointed position whatsoever, but will, however, remain available should any opportunity arise to seek leadership position at the national level in the future. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to officially open the 9th conference of the Afri-Cities. Other dignitaries who will be speaking include African Union President Christian Batume, retired President Dani Faure of Seychelles, and Olusegun Obasanjo of Nigeria, as well as African Ambassador for Infrastructure Raila Odinga. Yesterday, they visited the Jomo Kenyatta Stadium where the conference will be held. Ministers James Macharia of Transport, his defense counterpart Eugene Omalo, Kisumu Governor Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, and other government officials assured that preparations were complete and they were now ready for the conference.
All the meeting rooms, the exhibition structures are up. The delegations, as we are talking now, are being registered. We've so far registered about 4,500 delegates.
The 5-day conference aims to discuss key issues facing cities across the African continent and appropriate plans to manage various challenges. Now, Laikipia County Governor Dorito Muriithi has unveiled his running mate Michael Waigwa as he seeks a second time on a Jubilee Party ticket in the August 9th elections. Speaking in Nyeri, Muriithi, who is also the Azimio la Umoja coalition chairperson, said he settled on Waigwa based on his vast experience on the agricultural sector, which he noted will be very useful in developing the sector in the agriculture-based county. This as former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo has settled on Esther Ndirangu as his running mate for the Kiambu gubernatorial race. Kabogo said that his decision came after immense consultation and intense scrutiny in his bid to oust the incumbent governor James Nyoro. Esther Ndirangu has served as County Executive Committee member for Education and Social Services under his administration between 2013 and 2014. Chief Justice Martha Koome has called on Kenyans to utilize the new methods of dispute resolution mechanisms that the judiciary is offering to settle their disputes. Speaking during the twin launch of the alternative justice system, the CJ intimated that gone are the days when lengthy and technical court processes were the only way of resolving disputes. Chief Justice Koome noted that the judiciary is at the forefront in widening the doorways of justice, which has the dual effect of creating a stronger, more efficient judiciary and an empowered citizenry. And the hearing of the Kianjokoma brothers murder case kicked off at the High Court. Crime scene officer attached at the DCI headquarters Embu was the third witness to take to the stand to testify in the trial of 6 police officers facing murder charges. The officers charged with the murder of the brothers include Benson Boothia, Consolata Kariuke, Nicholas Chiruyot, Martin Wanyama, Lilian Chamuna, and James Mwaniki. And detectives have nabbed the 4th suspect in the connection to the murder of Kenya Institute of Mass Communication student Purity Wangeshi. Isaac Kariuki Kiboi was arrested at the Ndigwa Delish Nail Bar in Kiambu County as detectives close in to unravel the gruesome murder. During the arrest, detectives escorted Kariuki to his house, where a comprehensive search was conducted, leading to the discovery of a blood-stained jacket suspected to be worn by Kariuki on the night of the murder. The jacket shall be subjected to forensic analysis by experts based at the biology unit of the DCI National Forensic Laboratory. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM.
Traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning is actually quite heavy from the last time we saw. Looking at what's going on in different parts of the city, causing a snarl up on Juja Road today. There's been an accident, and that's what's going on with that. On the Thika Superhighway, that we saw was really busy. Kiambu Road also doing that thing today. And Langata Road as well, coming into the city. We are seeing that there's a hold up at that junction, just at that interchange as you head towards Raila Odinga Way and then out towards Gong Road. Okay, everybody's complaining about the exit on the expressway. Yes. Hopefully that gets better. Mlolongo to Museum Hill. Unbelievable time is what folks are talking about, but then you get to the exit and you might have to slow down just a little bit. All right, let's take a look in about half hour and see what it looks like on our roads. Let's talk on Spice FM. KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga. Researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
It is 7 minutes after 8. Good morning and welcome to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. We're live on KTN Home now for the next 1 hour. We're also live on Spice FM as we are every weekday morning, 6 to 10. And we are live streaming the show on YouTube. Our channel is Spice FM KE. And our Facebook page, go to Facebook and search Spice FM Kenya and you will find us. We are live streaming the show there as well. We have a guest in the studio. Before we introduce her, let's hear the day's proverb from CT.
Yes, today's proverb is from the Congo Republic.
Of Congo.
Yes, a bald head of Congo, Brazzaville. A bald-headed man in Congo will not grow hair by getting excited.
A bald-headed man will not grow hair by getting excited.
No, it's not going to happen.
Brian really tries.
To grow hair and get excited?
To get excited.
You know,
hoping.
He will grow some hair.
If you are born with no hair on your head and that has been your lot in life, then you could say that you're bald. But at some point, bald people are bald because they had hair, then the hair went wherever hair goes when it gets lost from your head. Okay? So, it's a sign of transition. Some people say it's hereditary. Some say whatever it is that people say. Now, what we were talking about earlier on is how this has become a subject of sexual harassment in the UK. Somebody calling someone bald in a derogatory way.
In the workplace. Please make sure every time you add that.
In the workplace.
Yeah, if you meet at a party, it's fine.
But in the workplace.
In the workplace specifically, no. Any other time you call this individual bald, whatever, that's all right. But in the workplace, it's sexual harassment.
Next, now we'll have a case of spousal harassment, domestic violence, because it has happened at home. But we have to segment them. This particular case was harassment in the workplace.
Well, as we move towards a planet that is correct in every which way, I think this is further contribution to it, because I remember a time came when you couldn't call anybody short. They were vertically challenged. So, as we continue along that line...
So how challenged is the bald person?
That one. I don't know. I am not going to tread those waters. I'll just leave it as bald person from we know where. That's my disclaimer.
That's it.
Yes.
Sophia Wanuna joins us in the studio. Sophia is the deputy editor for broadcast and KTN News, and also news anchor there, and also my boss when it comes to KTN. Good morning, boss lady.
Oh, jeez. Good morning.
Hello.
Habari.
Mzuri kabisa.
Muko salama city?
Yes.
Worldman United?
Yes.
Yes.
To those who are listening, this is my voice when I'm talking to a boss. Yes.
Oh, please.
Mkubwa. I'm very happy to see you.
Senior counsel.
And you have to hold, look at how...
And feign humility.
And when you're if you're standing up, you also make sure you bow and your hand comes towards your chest. You keep talking.
Yes. And you're like,
and you nod.
Yes.
Every word you keep nodding.
They crack a silly joke, you laugh.
You laugh as though your tongue is going to jump out of your mouth. Yes.
How are you doing, Sophia?
I'm good. Happy to be here. I was listening to you giving the traffic updates, and I remember Sunday night, I didn't know this turning here had been closed. My friend, after checkpoint,
you have to go all the way to the airport.
Oh, past the airport. So that's the thing. I missed even the next one.
You missed the airport one.
Because it's a bit dark, and I was like,
really dark. If you don't know it, you'll pass it.
Exactly. So I saw it, and I was like, oh, my, you know how you're like, could I go back? And
there's nobody else on the road.
But there are guys, and it's at night, so kept going, and literally, I think I was in Kitengela in some form or shape. At some point in the night. So I have
If you had just gone like 2 or 3 kilometers, you'd have crossed over into Tanzania and turned back now and come back through Isibania.
It was actually a very nice young guy on board. I just had to stop and be like, Bwana, unajua
naenda Nairobi.
Naenda Nairobi, lakini nina face this side. I need to go home. So he was so kind. He told me 3 more footbridges. Alafu turn. Hey. That was a very
similar thing happened to me. What day was this? That I left here at night. So, of course, I knew that this General Motors one had been closed. Normally in the morning when we leave, we use the back route through Enterprise Road and back. But now I was like, this is late at night, so let me just go straight. I knew in my head the next one, it's either I get up City Cabanas and do the interchange at Changombe and come down. I thought, nah, too much. Next one is at the airport. So the airport one, it's dark. I have entered the deceleration lane, but I have not seen the turn. So I found myself actually in the rocks there. So I had to find my way back onto the highway, head towards the airport, get to that interchange again, next to where now past the bridge. There's another interchange there. So there's a way to get in, so I had to slow down, reverse, get there. I knew if I missed that one, I'd have to go all the way
to Machakos,
to the SGR interchange. Where you have to go and it's absolute madness. It's nonsense.
It is.
So now you can imagine somebody who this morning is going to work, I'm telling you, at Diamond Trust Bank, which is right there near Ole Sereni. And they want to go to work. They're coming from town. They're coming from Westland. Say they're coming from Westland. How do they go to? They have to go all the way to the airport.
That interchange and come round.
And come round to go to work at Diamond Trust Bank. Sa tujui ni nini?
Expressway.
The expressway?
Expressway.
So,
the inconvenience
so if
of
you're on the
development.
expressway, then how do you get to, say, the Diamond Trust?
If you're on the expressway, There's an exit.
There's an exit.
There's an exit here. It's called.
So they provided an exit.
It's called Southern Bypass.
With the how many S's?
Double S's.
The correct number of S's.
And they've written it exit A, I think, right?
Okay.
So you exit there.
Yeah, kupotea njia ndio kujua njia. So we shall learn these things by those kind
force.
of examples.
By fire.
But the 9B for the the road, Mombasa road itself, is what they're saying it will take to get it to the standards.
9 billion shillings to rehabilitate the road that you
Spoils.
destroyed.
Yeah.
And then we shall pay you 88 billion shillings for destroying that road and building another one.
Another one.
It's okay.
This is Kenya.
And yet we're told we don't have money.
No, we were looking for 6 billion shillings to feed Kenyans. We found 2 billion shillings.
And gave them.
And started feeding Kenyans. We needed to repair 21 kilometers of a road that has been dilapidated by a contractor. We have found 9 billion shillings like that.
Just like that.
But those Kenyans, how many are they? How many millions?
On the verge, 6 million.
And they need 6 billion shillings.
And in how many counties? Is it 12, 13?
Well, we have 8 counties that are at alarm stage, and we have another 8 counties that are at alert stage. 23 counties.
We're going 23.
23 counties in total. Yeah.
So that's half the number of counties.
Country,
Yeah.
And please remember that the drought situation we're talking about has been declared a national disaster by the president.
Yes.
So it's at an elevated level of
Yeah,
concern
but
by
still.
government. But still, we could not get 10 billion shillings to say, this is it. We are feeding our Kenyans.
And we have 8 billion shillings to repair a road.
Chap.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Anyway, Sophia, apart from the expressway and how we express ourselves
right?
on the expressway, there's a lot that's happened in the political front just yesterday.
I know.
So yesterday was the deadline for presidential and gubernatorial candidates to present their names and those of their running mates to the IEBC. Many of them did that. The Iron Lady by Azimio, Kalonzo with Mr. Sunkuli. What was happening here? You were in the newsroom at this point. Just take us through the motions of what exactly was happening. Raila had said, Satano Asubui, KICC, nitatangaza.
I mean, it was interesting, even from the night before, you could tell because they were sending feelers that they will be having a press conference. So I think by day before yesterday, it was done. Settled matter. Kalonzo and his allies knew they're not getting it. So they'd called in. I remember even when we had an interview with Makau Mutua, the prof spokesperson, Raila Odinga Secretariat, they said tomorrow's decision will be historical. Well, goes without saying, Kalonzo Raila is not historical. They have run together twice before. And so yesterday is all attention, all eyes on KICC. And then the next thing, because they called for the press conference, and Emmanuel Toh was covering that beat for us, and he says, yeah, Kalonzo is here. He's walking to the podium. He also has a statement. So by that time, because they'd said it, you remember before, that if he does not get
they're going to court, they're doing all those things.
Yes, they're going to court first to get out of Azimio, but number 2, that he will run. Yeah, and so this morning, Dan Manzo, the Member of Parliament, talking about that they indeed did submit his name as a presidential candidate. Refused to say which date when they did that, but now we saw the unveil of the running mate. So it was one of those from the weekend, of course, as well, with Rigathi and Kenya Kwanza. So now, in terms of the presidential ticket, we now know who's on the table. But for Kalonzo, the viability still of his race, whether he has a clear path, whether he can run, that's still... The jury's still out there on that one.
What do you mean, whether he can run?
2 things here. He has this whole confusion around the Azimio deal, okay? And the exit clause binds him. So unless in court, which they're yet to be clear whether they've actually filed, if that holds, then he's tied in there.
So the exit clause... if we were to go by what Professor Makau Mutua was telling us, he was among those who drafted. I don't know which part of...
It's called the deed of agreement.
I don't know which part of which deeds, because people claim not to have seen it. So even maybe the one that Professor Makau Mutua is telling us may not be the one that others have seen. Anyway, Professor Makau Mutua says the deed says you cannot exit.
At least they're
6 months before.
6 months before
3
election.
months after.
3 months after election.
Yes.
So, and this is as a party. So Wiper cannot exit Azimio.
That's what they signed on to.
But what about Kalonzo? Can he exit? Because Kalonzo is just Kalonzo. He's not Wiper.
He can, but the question then becomes...
Who nominates him?
Because then if he exits, because they submitted his name for presidential candidate as Wiper. And for independent candidates, that deadline already passed. So then he's running as... Who? What?
Wiper Plus.
Kinaumania hapo.
Wiper.
But then again, anything is possible in this country, I find. People find ways to bend rules.
What is it? What is the main bone of contention for Kalonzo? I mean, we've been trying to talk about this and understand it. When we listen to him speak, and let's even start from his deputy in the party leader, Farah Maalim. Farah Maalim gave us an entire chronology of Kalonzo's journey to this point, reminding us about Kalonzo leaving KANU, Kalonzo joining and being part of LDP. They win the election in 2002. Then they leave the NAC coalition government. They go and form ODM. And at that point, there's a conversation that if you come in and we all form ODM, Kalonzo, you're going to be a big person and a running mate. Then he feels played there. He leaves ODM, forms ODM Kenya, which later became Wiper. In 2007, runs alone.
Yes.
In 2013, they come together again. And here is what Farah Maalim tells us. He was part of this conversation in 2013. And the conversation here was, you shall run as Raila once, and then you shall support me. 2017 comes and the conversation is, but it was, I win, we win, I become president for one term. Then I support you. It wasn't that, I'm going to only run once. So Kalonzo is feeling like he's always constantly getting played.
And he has a valid point, because from where they sit, the issue has been, we have supported. We have agreed that I support you this time, and then next time it's me. So 2017, again, supported, next time. But also, the other side has a valid argument. We didn't win. Okay? We didn't win. So, we weren't running for running's sake. We were running to get into office, to get power, to run government. So, from where Kalonzo sits, time is running out. He's not growing any younger. 2007, he had the kupitia katikati yao. He ran, of course, then they negotiated, he became vice president. This time around, however, even if he does run and we even get into a runoff, it will still come down to a negotiation. He cannot, at this point with his numbers, perhaps it can be argued.
He can't emerge as one or two.
Exactly, one or two, right? So they will be coming to talk to him, so Niaje. And the argument from Azimio side is, what we've now given you, because you saw Raila announce what would be his cabinet, chief minister, is what he'd end up getting within government, because running mate is locked, because now you've seen the deadline has passed, so it's a joint ticket. It's not like before where you appoint after you're elected president. So for Kalonzo, yes, it is, and that's what his critics have argued, that he has this sense of entitlement, it's either him or not. Even he's, kind of posturing around, negotiating around this, whole running mate question. He kept saying, the utterances were, at the end of the day, it's running mate or nothing else. I'll go for interview, I'll not come, then I'll go, shows up. So at the end of the day, for him and those around him, because there are also those who are accusing his allies, saying that these guys, I want to ride on the wave of a presidential run for Kalonzo in Ukambani, so that then they are able to also benefit from that, reap from what, of course, that kind of a race does in mobilizing the base. So there's that. But I think at the heart of it, looking at Kalonzo and what he says, is he feels it is his time, that he deserves to be the president of this country. So it's now about, it is one thing to feel and know and think. Kwa ground, unasamanga vitu ni different. So he's contending with the ground.
The question that comes to my mind, though, is the support people garner as political leaders is because there is the feeling that you will attain a certain position which they as a community can claim to be theirs because their son or daughter is there. And in a presidential race is the presidency. Now, if people who support you do not think that you can actually get near the seat of power, and that the seat of power that you may actually consign, because if the community supports you, you're consigning the community as well, is one in the opposition. Is that what people support you for, so that you can be in the opposition? Or do people support you because they want you to be at the helm, and because of that the community can now say our person is at the helm?
People want a seat at the table. You want to call the shots. You want something to go back. And I think one of the biggest issues for Kalonzo was, if I'm not getting running mate, what am I going to tell the people back home? That we have deputized Raila in 13, 17, but in 2022, kuna venye tuko hapo kwa ministry.
We've even dropped further down the road.
You know? So it becomes, what do you tell those people? Because they have to feel the thing and the sentiment of it's our turn to eat. It's still one that is very much entrenched in our brand of tribal politics as it stands. So it's a big deal. People want to see that, this is what we are getting. Even if at the end of the day, no matter how long, say, in Mount Kenya, that has been one of the issues they've raised with Uhuru Kenyatta, 10 years, and some of the questions have been, what do we have to show for it? Because people believe that's our person, and so he needs to take care of us, despite all of the governance structures that are in place involving, including county governments. So for Kalonzo is, no one runs to be in the opposition. You want to have a seat at the table, you want to win.
Who's to guarantee that this home-based support is a direct line to the top seat in the country? And that's a question.
Yeah.
Because you have this base support at home, it's almost as though you must be automatically now catapulted to the seat of the presidency. And who's to say that that is the way it's got to be? Do we not have other examples of leaders who basically run things where they are, but then the aspiration to become president is not something that clearly becomes the bane of your existence?
Exactly.
Because who's to say now that it is absolutely your turn? Who says that?
Your people.
And yourself sometimes.
And yourself maybe more than the people as well.
Yeah.
That you keep insisting, well, it is my turn. But then who guarantees that you get that? And then we've seen the way that politics has shaped in this country over the last 10 years, that it's not just going to be you. That you will most likely get into partnership with other people who are making decisions. So you can come here with this mindset that it is my turn. But guess what? The table has already been brought.
You know,
there are other folks who are already sitting at it.
You know why I'm saying your people? Because I'm looking at, if we look at Kalonzo in the last 1.5 years, for instance.
Yeah.
So at one point he says, you know what, I have supported Raila. I have been Raila's running mate twice. Despite all the conversations that we've had, whether he's going to support me in 2017 or not, I have gotten here, all right? I have done this. And the conversation that I'm getting from my people is, you need to be serious.
Yeah.
You need to be serious. We've supported you and we believe that you should be the president. You should go for it. Stop being wishy-washy. Stop appearing like you're weak. Go for it. So he said, I'm going to go for it. And he starts forming their coalition with the others, the One Kenya Alliance. And people, then he says, let's have this conversation. And he sits there down with the president and Raila, and they agree to come together into Azimio, One Kenya. He comes in and says, sometimes, and that's what he said, what was that rally at Jacaranda? He said, sometimes you look for about the greater good of the country. And the greater good is, I have again decided that, yes, I shall shelve my ambition in support of my brother Raila because of the conversations that they've had. Then your people come and tell you, wait, what are you talking about? Ulikunywa nini?
And these people, Eric,
kwa hiyo mkutano ulikuwa unakunywa nini?
Eric, these people, are they the so-called, was it a public participation exercise where some poll was taken and people were asked, focus group discussions were had about, with clans and village mates? Or is it the political class in his backyard who have been talking to him? Because if it's a political class, they're not different from him. They are looking after their own interest.
I'd like to say that looking at it, of all the people that we're talking about who are, very vocal on Kalonzo's corner, Senator Keo Wambua of Kitui. If you look at Dan Maanzo, the MP from Makueni, and the others, they are all political juniors to Kalonzo.
Yes, they are.
Kalonzo has over 15 years more experience than them.
Yes.
So he can't be confused on understanding what exactly you're talking about. When he hears Wambua speaking, he knows whether it's Wambua speaking or whether it's Wambua and a constituency speaking.
But perhaps, Eric, is because there's a convergence of interest, that they all want the same things. They're looking out for themselves as he is looking out for himself. So that's the sweet spot where they meet. And that's where the people, is it really the people?
Far be it from
But
us
that's
to
what I'm
believe-
saying.
No, but far from-
Guys, Kalonzo cannot mistake Senator Enoch Wambua and the people. Kalonzo has been in politics since 1982. He knows the people. Enoch Wambua was a journalist with us here when Kalonzo was a member of parliament. When Enoch Wambua now talks to Kalonzo, Kalonzo can tell, are you Enoch or are you the people?
But that's the question, Eric. Is the people here in what is in question? Is it what the people want, what counts? Is it what is inspiring all of this? Because when you look at how some would describe them as somersaults or just changing position from this to that to the other, surely then these people are, rather confused. What's it is saying? Are they having a public participation today? They say, we are going for this thing. We are going to participate in this process and be able to speak to why we should be deputy president, running mate candidate again. Is it the people? I contend it is not the people.
Who do you think it is?
It is him.
It is the politicians. And
It is
what
the
they
politician.
want. This is ambition.
Far be it from us to believe that when people are making decisions, or not in some cases, that they're thinking, you know what? As I sat in that rally over the weekend and I listened to the voices of the people and this is their heartfelt desire, I am going to make a decision based on what they have to say. Oh, come on, guys.
Yes.
Where are we?
Yes.
Where are we? I believe,
because
I
you
believe
know
that,
that
the
those
personal
people
desire,
represent votes.
the personal desire of where you want to be far outrides this thing that we are talking about the people and their choice.
It's true, Ndu, but now that's where you're conflating issues. It's not about development and what you will do for the people. It is what the people will do for you. You make a decision based on where the people are. On which side is the tree leaning? Now, Kalonzo may have gone to Jacaranda and made a decision and announced. Then he comes back and realizes, these guys have not agreed with what I've said. And that's why he starts now turning back and saying, okay, I was just saying, then I'm going to be running mate, They tell him, no.
Then in that case,
If you're not running mate, then get out.
Then in that case, it is very good that he announced what he announced yesterday. Put it and let's see now who's going to float and who's going to sink. I think it is very good that he has made that decision. Test the waters. You have been talking about this support and people have been pushing you for the longest time. Now you've declared your candidature. It's very good.
Let's see your people.
Let us see now your people.
These
come
people
out.
we're
And
speaking
these people
of.
that you've been talking about all this time and our people have been saying, come
Yes.
and now put it to the test.
We shall see the people.
28
minutes to 9. Let's take a quick break, take a look at the weather and traffic. And the question we are asking, even on our social media, and we'll be picking your calls, did Kalonzo make a strategic move by going alone in August? Did Kalonzo make a strategic move by deciding that he's going to go it alone in August? Let's be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person. Hustler is a person who is making his a living through hard work.
The group of leaders we are having now, Kenyans, listen, the chemical composition is the same. You will mold them to ODM, then NASA, you mold them to Kanu, mold them to Jubilee, mold them to any other different color sometimes, but the chemical composition is the same.
It's not about me as Nurdin Haji, but it's about the constitution that I swore to protect. So when individuals attempt to hoard those powers and they want to be investigators and also prosecutors, then of course I have to defend that position because that position is in the constitution and that's what Kenyans wanted.
I'll tell you what happens is that when you ignore court orders, you're creating and quoting anarchy. Then you create a very dangerous precedent.
A story is told of the first president of the country who also went to visit Mathare, presidential tour. Yeah? And of course, he went to this place. place and he introduced himself. So one of the enemy says, oh, kuna jina kama yangu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 17, highs of 24 and lows of 15. It's sunny at 17 in Nakuru. We'll see highs of 26 coming down to lows of 15. It's raining in certain parts of Nyeri at 16, highs of 23 and lows of 14. And it's mostly cloudy at 16 in Eldoret, highs of 25 and lows of 13. The rain continues in Mombasa at 27, highs of 30 and lows of 25. And in Malindi, raining as well at 27, highs of 30, back down to lows of 25 as well through today. Partly sunny conditions at 21 in Kisumu, highs of 29, and it's partly sunny at 22 in Kakamega. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 15. Kampala is sunny at 24, highs of 28 and lows of 19, while in Dar es Salaam, the sun is out as well at 25. It'll go to highs of 31 today. Johannesburg, sunny at 10, highs of 17 and lows of 8, while Lagos is cloudy now at 26. We'll see highs of 33. Sunny conditions at 23. That'll be today's low in Kinshasa, going to highs of 33. Okay, so still continues on Thika Superhighway. Let's see where this traffic has reached this morning at a few minutes just past 8:30, and it's really heavy still. We're going past the drive-in now. Kiambu Road well into Coffee Gardens. That still continues. In the belly of Muthaiga is where traffic then comes through Kiambu Road, where we're looking at back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic as you get towards Muthaiga Square. All right, what else are we looking at? Going towards the westland side of town, coming off Wayaki Way, James Gishuru, then heading out towards Wayaki Way itself. Skip on over to the Red Hill Link Road and you should be all right getting into the city the long way, but you won't be stuck in traffic. Mombasa Road continues with some traffic this morning and nothing too crazy, which is good. There's a spillover to North Airport Road and then on to Outer Ring. It shouldn't be too much of an issue there at all. Let's talk, guys. Half an hour or so, we see what's going on as we continue in traffic hour. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Spice FM, Nakuru. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
24 minutes to 9. The conversation continues.
94.4 Spice
Muga, our guest host today. Sophia Wanuna, deputy editor for broadcast and anchor at KTN News. Mudos. We're asking you, and we want you to call us as well. Did Kalonzo make a strategic move by deciding to go it alone for the August poll? That's what we are discussing this morning, and also as well as looking at the choice of Martha Karua by Raila Odinga. 0719-012-600. Was it strategic by Kalonzo or was it not? City? Was it or was it not?
That's a question that only Kalonzo can actually answer, in all honesty. I can only hypothesize.
Kalonzo will say he made a strategic move.
You see,
when you look
you have answered for him.
as a mchanganuzi wa maswala ya kisiasa.
My position in matters such as these is a simple one. Whenever politicians seem to create dust, make noise, speak loudly, they're negotiating. It's not complicated. That's in my view. As to whether someone moves to this party, doesn't move to this party, the thing that I find particularly interesting when we discuss political negotiation in this country, maybe these are held privately, but I never hear a conversation of what it is that this percentage the ASCO will comprise. I have people in my party. What am I going to get? Am I going to get energy, the energy docket? Am I going to get the forestry docket? Am I going to get the environment? What am I going to get? Because, yes, you as the leader may get this position, but surely you have people who support you that makes it possible for you to be party leader. Should the discussion not be more about, okay, what are we getting as a party? We. Because the we factor, in my mind, becomes more important. Because if you're a leader and you have people who have important dockets, then it means you're powerful. Just like if you're a leader and you have many people in parliament, then your say is greater. But our entire discussion has been about what this one person gets. Now, as I said, perhaps those discussions are held, but they are privy to those who have them. But my thinking, it should be a discussion that we should hear more about.
But which is what Raila has preempted. So he named partial cabinet. So Oparanya would be Treasury CS. With the exit of Mudavadi and Wetangula, you have to be able to go back to Western Kenya and say, this is what you will get in my government. Landi should be at the coast region, and Joho, you will be lands minister, etc. So speaking to your point that he's looking to say, so that it's not... People keep arguing that, oh yeah, you'll agree with this person on paper and then you'll be shortchanged, which is also what Kalonzo has been saying. So I'm announcing it early because then there's that responsibility.
So you know.
All right.
So there's public accountability here.
Exactly.
You told us that Oparanya will be the CS for Treasury.
Yes.
You told us. It's the same thing, I guess, with what the Ruto camp did by leaking their own agreements, and which shows what Western Kenya gets. So I think that's the same thing that Raila was responding to yesterday, in my opinion. Because initially, so we saw what Western Kenya gets, Speaker of the National Assembly and Chief Minister. Okay. So, wewe na wewe baba unatupatia nini? Okay, you get the National Treasury and you get Speaker of the Senate.
Speaker, yeah.
All right, so let's see. Do we balance them out?
You draw.
Those are both executive ministries. So, hapo tuko draw. Then Mount Kenya, then you've gotten the running mate. Okay. Coast now, here's what you get. We know that the other side has told us, Coast, you're getting Speaker of the Senate, and these are the conversations in the name of Kingi. So Kingi, Senate. This other side, Joho, lands. Okay, balance it out. Anyway, let's go to the phone lines. People are calling in. Anthony in Mombasa, good morning.
Good morning to you, my people.
How are you?
I'm fine. It has been a long time before I called.
Yes. Are you well?
The campaign has so vigorous. I couldn't have time to in the morning, of course.
Anthony, how did you fare?
Well, I'm the KANU nominee.
Very
Or
good.
nominate for that matter.
For Ziwa Langombe.
Among the 5 people, I think victorious.
Very good.
But we have a problem. We have a problem. Before I embark on our registration room today, we have a problem as KANU candidates. We are being viewed as lesser people in Azimio. Even when we went to Mkomani with the Azimio flag bearer, we were not given a chance. And in fact, we were even not allowed to attend to the diet. So this is a clear indication that we are not being treated as a partner, but just a lesser being. Anyway,
Your junior partners.
For another day. To the exit of Kalonzo, it will depend with which position or which side, whether you are in Kenya Kwanza or in Azimio. The way you are going to view it will depend on your political, perspective for that matter.
So we don't know. You're in KANU. KANU, the chairman of
I
KANU
am
was with
in
Kalonzo.
KANU.
The secretary general of KANU was with Raila. So we don't know which side you are. So you now, as Anthony.
For now, we've not been given a clear communication from the party neck or party organ. But as things stand now, we are set because even all my banners written Azimio. So we've not been given a clear communication. From there, I don't have to speak a lot on that because there are those people who are designated to speak on behalf of the party.
Anthony.
What we are looking for now.
This
because,
question, Anthony, hold on. This question is to you, Anthony, as a listener with a political bone. When you look at the move that Kalonzo has made, as Anthony, is it strategic or not?
It is a strategic one. Yes. Reason why, Kalonzo knows very well that he cannot play a lesser position rather than being a running mate. Due to the fact that he has filled almost all of Wiper candidates across the country. So you cannot compare Kalonzo's role with Martha Karua's role. But anyway, the position of a running mate rests clearly with the presidential candidate. He knows the actual person whom he can work with so closely with the prevailing circumstance politically.
Okay.
So Kalonzo would have just played another role the way Ruto played to be a core principal or someone who is close to that, who can view himself to be the same principle, the two principles, which is not. So a president, deputy president should be a how do you call it? Principal assistant to the head.
So it cannot be at the same level. Let's hear from Karanja in Naivasha. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric, Kidu and City.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And our guest is there, Sophia Wanuna.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, madam. Now, people say you cannot apply as the same technique and they expect the same result, different idea. Now, the issue of raw militarism, that's what we saw in the Wiper Party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. It is a repeat of what was done by 40 people leader, who is now the late Simon Nyachae, and he went to nowhere. So, my friend, let me tell you, moja ni nguvu, utengano ni dhaifu.
Point made.
This guy could have, yes, this Kalonzo Musyoka could have waited and then see how the ball will be played. Now he has gone out. Let him go. We wish him very well. But I'm very much ready to support Martha Karua as a deputy president of the Kenya First President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karanja. Peter in Roiro, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well.
Okay, quickly. Kalonzo's move yesterday was almost saying that I'm unable to work with Raila, but I still want to be heard. I still want to be at the table. So the challenge for him actually has been the advisors who are around him, just like you alluded to earlier. They might be taking very strong positions in what he should be asking for. It was ironic that at a time when he was announcing his candidature, the Odinga now was also saying that he's going to give him a chief minister's job. So, in my view, I think it's probably good riddance. They may have miscalculated the reaction that Karua's announcement will be from Wiper's side. And they were shocked to see that there was a positive reaction. So in the coming days, we'll see how it pans out for them. They will probably relook at that agreement again under the Okoh coalition and the Vimeo. And they creep back and say, oh, we were sorry, we were like this, because it was all along.
I'm doing jokes.
Why do you take things so seriously, surely?
The problem with doing that is this, and you could hear from the opinions from the people in the Lower Eastern, is they seem to also be confused. They say, we are going where our leader wants to go. So they may not be holding very strong feelings about maybe the decision that was made. If Kalonzo decides, oh, I made a mistake, I need to just go back.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. We hear you. Let's hear from Zachary. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, people.
Good morning.
Good morning, person. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you, Marimandro. And the boss is there now. Let me behave good because I know you are on TV.
Yes, Buana.
And I don't want her to go say, oh, these guys have got some very funny friends, yeah? So, let me say this, yeah? Kalonzo's actions actually expose the defeat that appertains to our politics, yeah? It also shows that we have really not grown to a place where we have got parties that are national. And let me give you an example using now the boss that we have in the studio. you have seen in social media that when a certain girl goes and probably lab soldiers, the Kiande, Mr. Eric, you can translate to them, yeah?
Shoulder.
And the letter Zachary, you're doing okay?
All right.
Yeah, small slip and slap here and there, yes, but go on.
I tell you that I'm from Central Province. Now, they are trying to come and say, okay, because I greeted the boss, now my price tag is now 2 million or 3 million. You just, that is how Kalonzo is behaving. And let me say this. In their Mount Kenya, we say this, yeah? Translated to say, if I'm sharpening a knife, this knife may turn against me because it is very sharp. If I do not use it wisely, it is going to cut me. And that is actually what has happened to Mr. Kalonzo. His move, as per the question that we have, was strategic. And this shows that he never went to the discussions with a clean heart. Alikuwa kuna kadi alikuwa ameficha ati sijui wakifanya hivi asipofanya hivi those conditions ati nitafanya hivi that I surprise them. Actually he is taking himself to the political grave, and that's my take. And may the boss know that I'm afraid of the show.
Oh, good, yes, the board knows. Thank you. Jackie in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good Very morning.
Well, thank you. We are living in exciting times.
I tell you.
Dramatic.
I know. My take is when we remove the personalities, let's look at the job. This job is supposed to inspire trust with the boss. Now, if you come and you're applying for a job, and 1 minute you're saying this, the next minute you've changed your mind, then you've changed your mind again, you're back again, then you're exposing confidential documents in public, it does not inspire trust. And you can't now come and tell the boss, I've known you since we grew up, so I deserve this job. You've got to have the boss's trust, because all the activities in that office are going to be under you. The documents you're going to be privy to all the confidential documents, any activities in that office. So this is a job that needs a person who's being constant, who is predictable, and the boss knows this is how so-and-so is going to react. But if tomorrow you're changing your mind and the other day and another day, it's just going to be chaotic. And then plus, for me, I think, for a man like Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka, seeking advice from young blood might be a bit to his detriment, because these guys can jump off a cliff without a second thought. Because they are at that age where, they can take risks and it's okay. But you now, at a certain stature, jumping off a cliff, you don't have spare parts. Things will break.
So this was a bad move for him all round.
I think it was a bad move. He could have chosen his advisors a bit better. Not to say that the ones who advised are wrong, but for them, in their space, it's right. But in his space, it's a different scenario.
Strong advice to him. Thank you, Jackie.
Awesome.
Let's cross over to Kakamega and hear from Ashiembi. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're fine, thanks.
Good morning.
Well, I think that Kalonzo is suffering from what we call big man syndrome. If it is not me, then kuharibike. and I remember the other time when they were at Jacaranda together with the president, Kalonzo stated clearly to the nation that Rosaki, I am supporting Raila Odinga for a third time. And I think sometime after that, Kalonzo told the nation that the nation is quite important than any other position. And he is going to support Raila Odinga so that they can save this nation. What has now come up again for Kalonzo to change, and he is now going for president. That one shows how selfish the old man is, and he doesn't care about any Kenyan. And number two, the indecisiveness of Kalonzo Musyoka. In fact, in as much, Kalonzo Musyoka is a national, is an international figure. Because I understand the president also gave him some job in the neighboring country. He is showing a very bad picture of our leaders in the world. Because today you cannot say this, tomorrow you are saying a completely different thing. Today I'm going for the interview, tomorrow I'm not going for the interview. That one is a very bad thing. And I remember as a young man, when I wanted to marry, my dad was advising me that, my son, don't work with people from a certain community. Don't marry a woman from a certain community. And these are kind of things that are growing in people that in the future, people will be judging other people using such things, the indecisiveness. You'll be told that you cannot get a woman from this community because
they're
of what
undecided.
Kalonzo did some time back.
Yeah.
Then
Thank you.
lastly, please, Kalonzo should desist from getting advice from people like Mahanzo. They are deceiving this old man. The Kalonzo is a leader, a national leader that should be listening to people in the likes of presidents like Uhuru Kenyatta, not listening to people who are young and are actually fighting for their own self-gain in that community. Thank you.
Asante Ashembi. Mixed comments here. But if you were to think about it from Kalonzo's point, like you said, Ndu, okay, it's all selfish, it's all you think about yourself and going forward. What does this move do for Kalonzo? Positively, what does this move remove from Kalonzo?
What does it do for him positively? Well, maybe finally then that maybe the backbone has grown a little bit more and you've thrown yourself then into the ring and said, okay, well, let's take this litmus test out to the whole of the country and let's see if they'll throw that support behind me. What does it do negatively for him? I think that same thing, that you're throwing a tantrum it could be seen as a childish tantrum or the big man syndrome kind of thing, whereby you're saying, you know what, if it is not me, then I'm going to spoil this thing. I'm going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons and see if I'm going to be able to split the vote so that it's working for you in two different ways, negatively and positively, whereby you're showing that you can actually go out there and stand for this thing, or that you're saying, I will not work with other people. It's got to be me or the highway. Unfortunately, in this case, he might be the one turned on the highway.
City, what do you see? Positive for him, negative for him?
Identity politics is tricky. Because if you are a leader, it is assumed that your people or the people who support you identify with you. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the decisions you make, those decisions carry that community with you, whether people supported you. But so long as you come from that community, it will be assumed that the values that this person espouses or they are
yours as well.
Yes, that's one. Secondly, when it comes to politics and negotiations, I think Kalonzo's position for negotiating, I think the thinking behind it was sound. In that, you cannot actually get what you want until you have a certain position and make a demand. Now, when it is clear that you will not get it, I am assuming that they will have negotiated for something else. Because negotiation doesn't mean I just want this. It means there's this, but if I don't get this, I can put up with this or I can accommodate this. There's the give and take. Now, as you say correctly, this is a seasoned politician. I think he understands this principle of give and take fairly well. And I think he has an exit clause. There's somewhere where he probably hopes and thinks he'll be able to find a way of getting into the game. Because the alternative is bleak. He'll have taken his entire community into the opposition. Now, the problem with the opposition in this country, oblivion awaits you politically. Coming back from that is tricky. It's very, very tricky. Yes.
But remember, guys, 2007 all over again. Tapita katikati yao. Okay? If And we've said this many times here before, City, and we're going to the news, so we'll continue the conversation. If we look at the big political kingpins in this country, who commands a solid base and a solid following that they can walk around with and they know that they have a following? We've said it. Raila Odinga. We've said Kalonzo Musyoka is one such other person. He has a base. We have argued here over and over, does he have the base? Does he not have a base?
He has a base.
Does he have the people? Does he not have the people? He has a base. So he knows, if I bring in the numbers, how many members of parliament from Ukambani, how many senators from Ukambani, how many MCAs from the Ukambani diaspora, that's numbers. So can you negotiate on either side? Yes, you can. Is he going to be in the opposition? Most likely not, in my opinion. Whichever side wins will seek out Kalonzo. The conversations continue into the next hour. We have our guest host today, Sophia Wanuna, who is from KTN Home, Deputy Editor in charge of broadcast. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
The latest news from around the
Good
world.
morning, this is Ruto Dennis Aseto. Deputy President William Ruto will be in Nyeri County to attend the funeral of his running mate Rigathi Gachagua's elder brother. The funeral ceremony will take place at Hiriga Primary School in Mathira constituency, Gachagua's home turf. The two make their first visit to Nyeri just days after DP Ruto nominated the Mathira MP as his running mate for the August elections. Gachagua is now expected to meet his constituents for the first time in his new capacity, and while he will be mourning his departed brother, there shall be messages of hope for what the future holds, as well as celebrations here and there. Now, tax receipts, as reported by the National Treasury, hit 1.5 trillion shillings through the first 10 months of the 2021-2022 fiscal year. According to the latest Exchequer data, the receipts as of April 28 stood at 1.456 trillion shillings, to represent a 22% jump in collections by the Kenya Revenue Authority from 1.190 trillion shillings in April 2021. The rise in collection mirrors the continued recovery of the revenue collection by the government on the backdrop of resuming economic activities after the advent of the pandemic. Now, according to the Reserve Bank's latest monetary and finance statistics, private sector credit growth stood at 10.9% in March, the first double-digit rate of growth since June of 2016. Private sector credit in the period stood at 3.177 trillion shillings during the month, compared to 2.865 trillion shillings in March of 2021. The record growth in private sector loans is largely attributable to the resurgence of economic activity following the end of COVID-19 related restrictions and the end of the interest rate capping era in November of 2019. The lifting of the moratorium on interest rates charged in commercial lending, which had been in place since September of 2016, and the subsequent advent of the COVID-19 pandemic had constrained both the supply and demand for credit in the country. As the country emerges from the effects of the pandemic, credit to the private sector has improved in tandem. According to the CBK, the demand for credit has been notable over recent months, supported by the rebounding economy. And the price of wheat has jumped on international markets after India banned the export of the staple cereal. The benchmark wheat index rose as much as 5.9% in Chicago, the highest it has been in 2 months. The export ban comes after heatwave hit India's wheat crops, taking domestic prices to a record high. Wheat prices have soared by around 60% on world markets this year, pushing up the cost of everything from bread to noodles. India's government said it would still allow exports backed by letters of credit that have already been issued and to countries that require supplies to meet their food security needs. Government officials also said the ban was not permanent and could be revised. This means the price of that chapati, mandazi and everything wheat that you like might just go up. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has authorized the redeployment of several hundred American troops into Somalia after Donald Trump ordered their withdrawal during his presidency. Prior to Trump's withdrawal, the United States had about 700 troops in Somalia focused on helping local forces defeat the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab insurgency. The Al-Qaeda-linked insurgent group Al-Shabaab is seeking to topple the government and establish its own rule in Somalia based on neat, strict interpretation of Islamic Sharia law. Al-Shabaab frequently carries out bombings in Mogadishu and elsewhere as part of its war against the Horn of Africa country's central government. Somalia has endured conflict and clan battles with no strong central government since the fall of dictator Mohammed Siad Barre in 1991. And hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers are being evacuated from the besieged Azovstal steelworks, the last holdout of troops defending the southern port city of Mariupol. The plant had become a symbol of resistance, with around 600 soldiers holed up in the underground tunnels and bunkers fighting a rare gut battle to prevent Russian troops taking full control of the strategically located city. Ukraine's defense minister Gana Malia said more than 260 had been moved through humanitarian corridors to areas under Moscow and Russia-backed separatist control. And President Emmanuel Macron has named Labour Minister Elizabeth Borne as Prime Minister to lead his ambitious reform plans, the first woman to head the French government in over 30 years. Outgoing French Prime Minister Ali handed his resignation to the President, part of a widely expected reshuffle to make way for a new government in the wake of Macron's re-election in April. The last woman Premier, Edith Cresson, briefly headed the cabinet from May 1991 to April 1992. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aceta. Good morning.
All right, we should be out of traffic in about half hour or so, but it looks like it's still really busy on most of these Nairobi streets. We're looking at Raila Odinga Way going towards Ngong Road, and that is spilling off Langata Road today, so that still continues with quite some traffic this morning. It's not letting up on the Thika Superhighway. We're looking at traffic still spilling over from Outer Ring. At that junction, then going past Survey through the drive-in out towards the Pangani underpass still continues to look a little cray. On Kiambu Road today, we have inbound traffic still continues coming past Coffee Gardens. Again, going out towards Muthaiga Square in the CBD is where most traffic meets this morning. Jogger Road looking a lot better. We're just looking at that little section around the Makadara train station that has some traffic. Let's keep an eye on things. About half hour or so. Let's talk on SpiceFM. KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
7 minutes
not
after
down.
9. Good morning. Welcome
This
to the
is
final hour of Kenya's
Situation
biggest
Room,
conversation
the
this Tuesday
only way
morning,
to
the
start
17th day of May 2022. This day is big in Kenya. Freshly Mwamburi City.
Yes.
Freshly Mwamburi.
Mm-hmm.
Sang a song called Stella Wangu.
Mm. He's Stella.
That girl who went all the way to Japan
Mm.
freshly had supported the girl to go to Japan for further studies, and she was supposed to come back on the 17th day of May, and he was there with the entire bus of villagers waiting for her at JKIA. Girl steps out of the plane holding like a baby. Behind her is this chap who is a Japanese guy. She's come back with a man from Japan. and a baby.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now that's a complete statement. If you are talking about on a scale of 1 to 10, disappointment cannot get any greater than that.
For whom?
For the man.
Yes.
That one, my friend. It's the stuff that heart attacks are made of.
She brought FDI. Just look at it that way. It was foreign direct investments being brought back to the country.
Living, breathing.
Oh, yes. Come with yens. So, City.
Yes,
the day's proverb.
Indeed. Yes. A bald-headed man will not grow hair by getting excited.
A bald-headed man will not grow hair by getting excited. Oh, yeah. So now...
Don't get excited.
There are certain things that you cannot actually change. There are many things, in fact, you can change, but there are some you cannot.
Okay.
You know, people talk about being bald. Let's talk about, I mentioned earlier on height. If you're tall, you're tall. I mean, there's nothing you're going to do about it. If you're not so tall, you're also not so tall. You can do something about it when you're younger, but then again, if genetically you're inclined in a certain direction, that'll be it. All you do is make diversity possible. You contribute to this subject of diversity.
You can wear heels, City.
See? This is the good thing of having discussions with people who are in the know.
Right.
So I will wear heels.
On a regular?
On a regular. Every day, all day.
Walk on stilts.
Yes.
You know. Continuing the conversation, the politics of the day, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, the impact that Martha Karua is likely to have. So yesterday, as the Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga was making this announcement, he said, one of the things that I want to have with Martha Karua as my running mate, should we get elected, she becomes my deputy president, is I'm also going to make sure that she's busy and I'll give her a job. There's a job that we started together. And this was, in championing for constitutional change, and she was instrumental in the actualization of this constitution. So, Martha Karua will not only just be deputy president, she will also be minister for justice. And as you know, so we can continue and finish the job that we started with her. Now, there are several areas of concern here that arise. First of all, it's about maybe just understanding of the law and interpretation of the law, and that is likely now to start another whole conversation altogether. Some part of people who understand the law, constitutional lawyers, are saying the Constitution talks about the functions of the Deputy President in Article 147. Function number 1, the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. 2, the Deputy President shall perform the functions conferred by this Constitution and any other functions of the President as the President may assign. 3, when the President is absent or is temporarily incapacitated and during any other period that the President decides, the DP shall act as the President. And 4, the DP shall not hold any other state or public office. Now, there are people who have circled number 4, highlighted it in pink and underlined in red. The Deputy President shall not hold any other state or public office. Is taking a cabinet portfolio holding another state or public office.
It is.
It is.
Quite simply put, yes.
Or it is assigned functions.
Or is it number 2? The Deputy President shall perform functions conferred by this Constitution and any other functions of the President as the President may assign.
So this could be an assigned function, yeah.
Is a cabinet a function of the President? Being a minister, is it a function of the President?
Who appoints ministers?
The President.
And decides the dockets to have. We do have a justice ministry.
So the President can tell the deputy to appoint, to nominate a minister. But can the President take up a ministerial portfolio? Can the President be Minister for Interior?
He is Minister for Interior. He is also Minister for Health. He is also Minister for Forestry. He is in charge, Baba.
Yes, as President.
Yes, he is. So what I'm wondering is, there are these things we refer to as executive orders. What's the limit?
This one is the constitution.
Precisely, but there's a breather. There's point A, he can appoint. Point B, he
This
can't
and
appoint.
any other duties as assigned to you by the president.
Now, this one is one of those cases, I believe, where we are going to need to take it perhaps to one of our higher courts to interpret. For us.
Another interpretation coming up
Yep.
in few days. Yeah. However, if you just think about, let's just go with that, okay? Let's assume that it's okay, that there'll be some interpretation that yes, the deputy president can also serve as a minister. And Martha Karua, should they win, becomes DP and Justice Minister, Justice and Constitutional Affairs Minister, Martha Karua. The president will be Raila. The chairman of this Azimio vehicle will be Uhuru. Those two have said more than once, this constitution needs to be amended. Martha Karua has said, this constitution does not need to be amended. Now. What if then Raila says, you know what, let's revive BBI, let's now follow the right route. Martha, can you make sure that we're doing it the right way? What do you see her doing?
She spoke about that yesterday and said what was impugned was not and were not the proposals. It was the process. And that going by what the Supreme Court and, of course, the directions from the other courts, but finally the Supreme Court, then nothing stops them from being able to have that conversation and engagement. So clearly coming from the point of there's no contradiction here, I am going to follow the law. It's just that we will not do anything that's outside the law. Was her argument. So it will not be difficult for BBI to come and Martha to be the one now championing. And her argument will be, yes, what was challenged was process and this and what was not done here and there. And so now we're going to do it the right way.
And we're going to follow due process.
And we're going to follow due process.
That is changing tune.
Yes.
Only a fool doesn't change their mind,
Martha
is what they
Karua,
say.
and we spoke to her here and asked her, so you are among those that are leading the Linda Katiba movement. What is the issue? And she said, the president is saying that we're in a constitutional moment. We are not. We are not in a constitutional moment. This constitution needs to be implemented first before we discuss amendments.
And that moment could be later this year or next year.
That moment could arrive on the 12th of August. It could arrive at any time, whereby she says, okay, so it could be. Look, this is the thing, that you can say one thing and then you preserve or you reserve the right to then be able to change your mind over things later. Circumstances notwithstanding, a circumstance has now changed and you find yourself on the other side of things and you say, hold on a minute, what would be the best decision for me to make here? Looking at what she said yesterday in terms of, look, I never argued that we couldn't actually come in and have this. I argued that the process through
That
which
is
it
not
was,
what
the
she
process
argued,
through
and
which
that's what
it
I'm
was
saying.
suggested is what I had a
Derek,
problem
you weren't
with.
listening when she was saying it.
Sorry?
You didn't hear what she was saying.
Yeah.
You know, I was also here when she said it.
Brian, if you can get those clips, then we can just play.
Put this thing to bed.
We reminded, the president is saying we're in a constitutional moment. She said, Mr. President, you are wrong. We are not in a constitutional moment.
Yeah, but what if we arrive at that moment?
Because now you've become the deputy president.
Actually, no,
Yes.
not necessarily. Not necessarily. The passage of time has this amazing quality of making things clearer.
Reflecting.
Yes, exactly, and reconsidering.
And sleeping over it as well. Things
and-
are often clearer in the morning.
Yes,
and the morning could come anytime now.
And letting her get into it.
Eric is not buying that reflection and change of mind.
Eric, you know, the bottom line with
No,
these
I'm
things
okay
is-
with, if she said, look, we were not in a constitutional moment. I didn't believe so. I will look at what is presented. I will, put in my voice there on the areas that I don't think we need to amend and areas that I think we can amend. It's okay. But saying that I only had a problem with the process, but I didn't have a problem with the content, that's not Martha Karua.
You know, what you say she said is actually true. It is what she said. Because, as I said, I was here. I've stopped being facetious. The point here is this, though. If you consider the Constitution as it is, what we've been experiencing since the promulgation is actually putting the Constitution into practice. Now, I don't know who or what may come into the discussion, but we were always going to change things in this constitution. There's no question. We were always going to change things because you have it on paper, so it's theoretical. You put it in practice, you realize, this thing doesn't quite work the way we thought it would work. So what do we need to do? Now, that same thought process, you look at BBI, remember it was thrown out. And you ask, actually, certain things, yes, and that BBI were not necessarily really bad. In fact, some were actually good.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in this position, I see some of those benefits with greater clarity. Now, as for the constitution being followed, the nomination process, blah, 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 we follow the constitution. Now, how do we then move from this position that we are in to the other? Because we now want to bring to the people the things that we promised. And maybe the constitution as it currently stands may not necessarily be able to deliver it. So what are you going to do? You're going to have to tinker with that constitution.
Yeah. And I think the thing that did it in for BBI is lumping too many things together. So that if you're going to say we want all of this, so there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, so then your chances of success are few. Because look at this chief minister, chief cabinet secretary, whatever they're going to call it, right? Even Kenya Kwanza have that in their agreement. That was in BBI. So there's a consensus that there needs to be something, some other positions sitting outside of president and deputy president in the arrangement, just because of taking care of all of this tribal arithmetic that is our political reality at this time. So for sure that conversation will come back in one form, shape or other after the election. And perhaps they can now find a neater way that will guarantee more chances or perhaps promise higher chances of success.
Let's look at Martha Karua's journey to yesterday, right? So, Na Kenya party leader, she says, I'm going for Kirinyaga governor. Then she joins up with other Mount Kenya leaders and they say, all right, so let's champion the needs of the Mount Kenya region in the negotiation. Let everybody who's coming to negotiate with us understand exactly what Mount Kenya needs. And she's picked as the spokesperson for that group. Then she joins One Kenya Alliance. And so she is with Kalonzo and Gideon and Jirongo and the others in One Kenya. Then they move over into this new arrangement. Was she, even when she was in One Kenya, was she one of those leading lights? Like she could be, if One Kenya had stayed alone, she could have been the presidential candidate for One Kenya Alliance. Or maybe Kalonzo's running mate in One Kenya Alliance.
Yeah, and Dan Manzo this morning, actually, on Morning Prime, has confessed or said that indeed Martha Karua was to be running mate for Kalonzo Musyoka. That, yes, they already submitted the paperwork for Kalonzo as a presidential candidate, and that they were doing that because of what they've argued in the past has been betrayals. People make deals, make promises, and then they do not keep them. And so this was their safety card to say we want to protect and secure what it is we are seeking to do here. So, in fact, the contestation that then Otiende Amolo was raising is, it then follows because Martha Karua was running mate for, was to be running mate for Kalonzo Musyoka, and One Kenya, Kalonzo said this, we are joining Azimio not as Wiper but as One Kenya. So if this is running mate candidate proposed for One Kenya, and then One Kenya has come into Kenya, to Azimio, so it's Azimio One Kenya Alliance. So then this is the running mate for Azimio One Kenya Alliance.
So there should be no problem.
His wish has been fulfilled, and therefore he should fall in line and not then come back and say, oh, maybe it should have been me.
That's long math, Ati. So One Kenya Alliance was coming with its presidential candidate and its running mate.
Yes.
As they were joining Azimio.
And they were coming as One Kenya.
As One Kenya, not as Wiper,
not as
Kenya,
not as the distinguished parties that formed it.
Okay.
Yes.
So then they join here, and the running mate for One Kenya is the running mate for Azimio. So they have won.
Yes.
It should have been
so the
right
initial
because
plan has
come out to be the same thing. That you were coming together as a group, and this would have been, you have both picked the individual that would have been the one in the first place. So you really shouldn't have a problem with it because you were coming to join the fray.
Normally how such math works. I'll give you an example of in this country, Yashpal Guy's Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, formed in Parliament, okay, by an act of Parliament. There's a parallel process going on called a Ufungamano process.
Initiative.
Yashpal Guy is chairman of CKRC. On this other side, there is Okoh Ombaka,
yes,
who is the chairman of Ufungamano Initiative. When Yashpal Guy said, let's join, Okoh Ombaka became the vice chair of Yashpal Guy. The chairman of this side comes and becomes the vice chairman here. Not the vice chairman of Fungamano, becoming the vice chairman of the new thing. Yes, CKRC.
But what you're saying makes sense, but that was the agreement they had then.
The agreement that you had was that we are all joining this more
good agreement, but that's what they agreed.
Group. And it then turns out that if you wanted to go, the person you were going to select turns out to be the same person that has been selected by the larger group. So your wish has been fulfilled. At the end of the day,
and that's
you're still bringing the same element to the table.
And Eric, look, you know about the late Okoh Ombaka, Dr. Ombaka, a lawyer, Yashpal Guy, a lawyer. Under those circumstances, this fraternity has this senior, non-senior setup, okay? Yashpal Guy is clearly senior. You can understand. Yashpal Guy, chairman, senior, chairman. Mimi, not so senior, deputy. Makes sense. But here, where you're dealing with out-and-out red-blooded politicians, in fact, I sometimes wonder the cheek of it all. How does a politician stand up and talk of treachery? Politicians. The entire path of the trajectory of their lives is full of it. If you're to follow it and give details, oh God Almighty, who they shortchanged, what they did, what they said and didn't do, whom they didn't fulfill promises for.
Who was being ignored, who was being nonchalant about what they were going to do or not do, who then was being ghosted here or there.
What?
It's games throughout.
Yes.
It is.
So when someone comes and says, oh, this happened, I'm wondering, what are you talking about?
And if they were just to dig a little bit back in history to see some of the things that you actually did, what are we talking about here? Pot calling kettle black? Then you want to stand and sanitize yourself and say, I am actually
different,
the victim.
better.
I am different. Why? How are you different exactly? Meanwhile, you've been swimming in the same pond of tadpoles like everybody else this whole time. And then you want to say, now, I'm actually not a frog. I am a fish. No!
It doesn't work that
way.
This revelation by Dan Manzo actually goes very far.
It does.
So what basically we're saying is that on the 2nd of May, Kalonzo's name and Martha Karua's name had been presented to the IEBC as candidate and running mate.
No. Candidate had been presented, but remember the deadline was yesterday for running mate. But it was generally agreed that this would have been...
This was the plan.
This was the plan, the original plan.
Which means that had Raila not picked Martha Karua would also have walked.
Martha Karua had stated categorically that even if she wasn't selected by the panel, she would remain in Azimio.
She had said that.
She had said so.
So Martha Karua cannot have been part of that conversation then that Dan Manzo is claiming. Unless we are saying that openly she had come out to say, I am not walking. But on the side, she was having a conversation with Kalonzo. Tukichezwa, tunaenda.
Well, she came out the day actually before. Was it Kamukunji? And she said, there are no demands here. There are no, if you don't, ultimatums. So for her, it was, whatever you choose, we are here, we'll support you to the end. That she'd said. So as to what had been agreed earlier on, or what was preferred, the Kalonzo Musyoka preferred ticket, because remember, this was the KANU chairman factor, and that he'd wanted a stake in this. In fact, even in the, remember when they were in Kamukunji, Kalonzo and the KANU chairman were having a meeting. They did not show up to the Azimio.
No, not in Kamukunji, they were in Karen.
No, the Kamukunji rally, the Azimio rally.
Yes. And Kalonzo and Gideon were in Karen taking photos and posting on social media and saying, how's your Sunday? Oh, my Sunday is fantastic. How is yours? We are next to each other.
And yesterday they were together as well when
Yeah.
Kalonzo was announcing. So the position that now Raila Odinga is offering Kalonzo Musyoka is what Gideon Moi had negotiated for in the Azimio One Kenya Alliance. So it will be interesting to see, even when you had the caller, the I forget his name, say that for KANU they need direction.
It's called
Because
Anthony.
Anthony, yes. The SG was in the event at KICC, and the chairman was elsewhere. So what is the way forward? Even they with that direction.
Political negotiations, just the term negotiation, has to provide for options.
Yes.
This is what I would like. However, if I do not get this,
I'm willing to
then
take-
I am willing to take this or that, or perhaps even the other. But meanwhile, again, I have so and so whom, as we consider, I would like to be given this and that. That's negotiation. The only time somebody has a firm position, an intractable one, is when they know they have the upper hand. So they'll say, this is it. Now, as they say, if your bluff is called, you take a stand and they say, okay, fine.
This was actually
You
it.
Kubali.
We've understood that, the decision rests with you. Make it. Again, it could be even for the negotiation. But the problem is this. What are the optics?
That's the one.
What are the optics?
What are the optics?
What does it look like? Absolutely.
What does Martha Karua bring to the Raila Odinga Martha Karua ticket? What does it add in terms of, is it numbers? Is it vibrancy? Is it safety? What is it that this ticket, that this name brings to this ticket?
Novelty, something fresh, new. That while she has been a politician for many years and in the public sphere, she has run for president before. But this is something that even the folks we got to speak to yesterday from different parts of the country talked about. It's different, it's new, and this is a person who, for whatever it's worth, principle. And that's where I think they're on complete opposite ends because, and not to say that the former vice president is not, but the thing that has been raised a lot about Kalonzo Musyoka is how quickly and constantly he shifts and changes positions. People change their minds. As we said, only a fool doesn't. So it's okay. But it also cannot be so quickly, so often. And you see, the other thing that really, I think, aggravates that situation is at the point he makes one statement or takes a certain position, it is so strong. I will be stupid to work with Raila Odinga again. You just need to say, I don't think I want to work with Raila Odinga again. It's the same thing. When you say I'll be stupid, then you work like, so you're stupid. So you just, it really just becomes, you do yourself in.
Over and over again.
So what is fresh then about Martha?
Martha is the track record she has had over the past couple of years. That if, when she resigned, for instance, as Minister of Justice, for which there's a proposal, no other woman had held that position, a powerful position, but because at the time judges had been appointed without her knowledge, that you will stand and go and leave all of whatever public office and even trappings of power come with all of that and walk because this is what I believe, this is what I think. Walking away from former president, the late Daniel Moi, again, in that, who would have dared in that day and age to imagine and walk and be like, I'm out of here, So for whatever it's worth is, that if she says this is the direction and these are the things we are working for, that's a person who has showed over and over in the past that she'll stick by that, she will fight. And if it gets to a point things get to her head, she will walk, she will leave. It will not be because I am now in this cozy, nice office. Now let's just see how we make this work.
Okay. Let's take a break at 28 minutes to 10. We'll open the phone lines again, 0719-012-600. What does Martha Karua bring to the Azimio presidential ticket? What does Martha Karua bring to the Azimio presidential tickets? Let's hear from you after we take this a look at weather and traffic.
Forgiveness is always conditional. Even before God, there's nothing like unconditional
forgiveness. Government doesn't pay you pension until you retire. In fact, they have no money for you. The day you retire, they look for it.
This country is punishing many young people. These young people are more susceptible to be deceived, to be taken advantage of, and they're more susceptible to be bought off.
Let us also talk about where we want our country to go. You know, we are a population of very young people.
We're in a state of capture. The judiciary is under duress. Parliament is in the pocket of the executive. You don't sit and wait for the regime to topple itself. It will never do so.
By the way, let me tell you, these guys are so persuasive. I'm telling you, they can persuade you to sell your grandmother. I'm telling you, they can sell sand in the desert.
City, has anybody on this program said to you as a guest, saying, "Oh, shut up, we don't want to be told what to do"? Has you ever that kind of? Has anybody
Listen, I will not listen.
bit of advice? Because you're working on the premise that we should all pay heed to these proverbs. It's a very suspect notion.
Is the Situation Room, the only way to start your
Conditions
day.
in Nairobi this morning. Through today, we'll see highs of 26 and then lows of 18. All right, looking at other parts of the city or other parts of the country. Nakuru will see highs of 21 today. Looking into Eldoret, sunny conditions and highs of 26. Light rain continues in Nyeri, highs of 23 and lows of 14 today. Looking into Mombasa, the rain is back and forth. We'll see highs of 33. Same thing in Malindi today with highs of 33. Kisumu will see highs of 26 today. Cloudy conditions. The sun is out in Kakamega, seeing highs of 26 as well. Looking into Kampala, the rain coming and going. We'll see highs of 28. We'll see highs of 30 in Dar es Salaam, where the sun is out today. Going into highs of 18 in Johannesburg. We'll see highs of 33 in Lagos. Mostly sunny conditions at the moment. 33 as well in Kinshasa, where the rain is coming down as well. Going into afternoon, early evening in Beijing, we'll see highs of 30. And in New York, Paris today, sunny conditions at 20, highs of 29 and lows of 16. We'll see highs of 20 in London. Coming into Tuesday in New York, we'll see highs of 20 and lows of 11.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM.
Traffic continues in most parts of Nairobi today, but it's letting up, looking a lot better than it was early this morning. Coming off Mombasa Road doesn't look too bad getting into the city. Jogo Road still has that little bit of traffic, as does Rilo Dingo Way as you get towards Gong Road. The Thika Superhighway proved to be really difficult today, and folks are asking what on earth is going on. But we'll keep an eye on that coming into the city. We shouldn't be too far out of traffic hour from now. Keep an eye on things through the morning talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text 40127.
Business news with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. Nairobi is the only city in Africa that made the top 45 global cities that posted growth in the last year. Ranking 32nd, Kenya's capital posted a 3.5% change in growth in the period from 2021 first quarter to 2022 first quarter. The city recorded a 2.4% change in 6 months from Q3 2021 to Q1 2022 and a 1.3% change between Q4 2021 and Q1 2022. As tourism continues to witness recovery following the easing of COVID-19 containment measures, local hotel chain Pride Inn Group of Hotels has embarked on an expansion plan as it seeks to set operations in all the 47 counties. The group has acquired a new camp, Pride Inn Azure Luxury Mara Camp, taking a pie of the game reserve whose popularity has risen over time and currently hosts up to 2,700 per day during the high season. And East African Brewers Limited has appointed Anjoy Mishira as the Marketing and Innovation Director for East Africa. Prior to the announcement, Mishira was the head of marketing BA for EABL and was pivotal in building and growing some of East Africa's biggest brands, making it one of Niger's biggest beer business. Now, the head of Twitter hit back after Elon Musk said he Its $44 billion deal to buy the platform was on hold while he sought details about fake accounts. In a series of tweets, Parag Agrawal defended the firm's estimates that spam accounts were less than 5% of users. Musk responded with a poo emoji, later repeating his claim that Twitter was underestimating the figure. Analysts have speculated that Musk may be looking for ways to renegotiate the price of the deal or walk away. For Spice Business, I'm Dennis Seseto.
Spice FM Business. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
22 minutes to 10. What
Mornings
does
done
Martha
right.
bring to the Azimio presidential ticket? Sophia, you said there's a freshness and what she represents and the fact that she has a principle. She's a safe pair of hands. She's the only man in the room, like they've said many times about her.
The Iron Lady.
The Iron Lady. CT, what does she bring?
She brings change.
Change of what?
Change, because one, if you simply go by what is fundamentally our politics, remember what I talked about identity politics, Let's give the example of something that hit the headlines and people talked about for the longest time. Kamala Harris. Here is Biden gunning for this particular seat, all right? Now, you choose someone who has an interesting mixed heritage. Americans, yes, but somebody from India, somebody whose forefathers came from Africa. So now you have a person of color. The Indians will identify with her, the blacks will identify with her, but a person of color is there. So the conversation about us being part and parcel of the system is taken care of. So people feel okay. Now, even if they want to go into vote, but because our person has been recognized. And then there's the factor of women feeling, yes, for the first time in the history of America.
Within.
Yes. Now, our situation isn't really that different. We have seen something that even America doesn't have. With this two-thirds gender rule, we have seen more and more women taking positions of authority because we've encouraged a meritocracy as opposed to the mediocrity that previously was the norm when it came to appointments and cronyism. So now, if you look at why people follow leaders, it's what they hope this leader will bring. Now, when it comes to the highest seat in the land, it starts with our person. Then there's a hope that so long as our person is there, our interests will be taken care of. People still speak about this as though we don't have counties, okay? And yet we have counties, and with the devolved system, in your own backyard, the very thing that you wanted is actually right there. But so long as the presence of Martha Karua can change the conversation and people who had sworn upon their ancestors' names that they would not support Raila Odinga, an opportunity to say, actually, let's have another think about this. Let's take another think about this. Now, the moment you say, let's have a think, you see, Sophia was telling me here, but you see, there's Rigathi Gachagua, okay? And his entry into it. And I said, that's good. But if you're talking about Ruto's support in central Kenya, we're saying, Ruto says, I have this number of votes, and you take care of it so that come August, you deliver the same votes. Now, who do we pit him against? In this case, not Raila, it's Uhuru. Because Uhuru is Raila's point man in central Kenya. So ask yourself the simple question. In a contest where Uhuru supports Raila forcefully and brings to bear the might that he has, and Rigathi brings his, the question I ask you is, who do you think will actually come out on top?
But City, when you say point man, what is the role and work of a point man? And has Uhuru been playing point man?
Mobilize the votes.
Exactly.
At
Has
what
he been
point?
out there mobilizing outside of Sagana? 3, what else?
That is serious mobilization.
The next 80 days.
Those two Sagana meetings, they were profound. And look at the people he met. MCAs, then leaders.
Moses.
Yes. You build consensus and then you move. Remember, up until just the other day, the campaign season had actually not officially begun. Please remember.
Even now, it still hasn't, imagine.
Precisely. So, even if the president hasn't been seen, as we say, hitting the ground and running, and when he does, not if he does, when he does,
Tutajua hatujui.
No, I'm just asking the question. Pit the same, because here's the point person for Raila, here's the point person for Deputy President Ruto. Tell me, what do you think is going to happen?
So what you're saying, CT, is that even though Martha Karua from Kirinyaga is the running mate for Raila Odinga, she is not the Mount Kenya point person.
No, she is not.
She is not meant to be the one that then mobilizes the Mount Kenya vote.
No, she will play her part, yes. But the person who is the point person is the chairman of Azimio. That is the person who is Raila's point person in central Kenya.
Makes sense.
I do think that this is an opportunity for fresh vote harvest that probably would not have seen before. And I think that it creates an opportunity. I mean, just look at what happened yesterday. People who had put the gender agenda conversation on the back burner, suddenly it made its way back into conversation just in a span of a few hours yesterday. So here you are, and that you're bringing, hold on a minute, and I dare say even the spouses of those who are on the other side will vote for Martha Karua because of that alone, that you have seen an opportunity for women actually to be in the spotlight, right? And then for someone like her, because it's not just any woman, somebody like her who, as you say, principled from the get-go. I won't forget the pictures of Martha Karua standing on the steps of KICC when Kibaki was going to be sworn in as president. And if you want to argue about principles, she said, no way, this is where we are, this is where we are going to stand. Many would have argued that it was a wrong position because there was a whole allegation of election rigging or whatever. But where she stood was where she stood. Whether you want to say it was right, whether you want to say it was wrong, but that is where she stood. Now, somebody like that, then who wants to carry the gender agenda on her back at the same time and say, you know what, here you are. In this whole sea of the patriarchy and etc., then Raila Odinga has the audacity, imagine, the audacity of hope to pick somebody like this, who has been this way politically. The conversation now was brought to the front burner yesterday in a matter of hours. Everybody's saying, hold on a minute, there is an opportunity. So you can even imagine that this whole central Kenya vote then be put on the side a little bit. And then suddenly there's a rallying call for people around the country who will say, wait a minute, this is a possibility. So you have fresh vote harvest from all those other areas that had thought we're never going to get a woman in that position. But now suddenly the reality is very possible.
Eric, she represents change. One may not like her politics, may not like the position she takes. But when you have the sort of clarity that Martha represents, like or hate, it represents change. Because one of the things that we've complained about our parliament about, they are so wishy-washy, so ineffectual. You look and you marvel, and then you look at the leadership, man, you get a headache.
Look at another thing that Kenyans have been crying for. Just think about it. Why can't we have somebody who is going to come and be straight in terms of lay down the letter of the law when it comes to these things like corruption, staying and coloring within the lines, and then suddenly here's an option and somebody's presenting somebody who is no nonsense.
So people are seeing like Kenyans are finally going to have a voice in cabinet.
Yes.
Your voice in cabinet. Everybody else can come and say, but at least you know when Karua is in there.
You people will not get away with the nonsense if you're getting away with all this time. She won't agree.
Michieka Enoch says she brings a new face in Kenyan politics. Chris says she brings back the country in all I want. Other comments coming in. Josephat Koskes, no, not Josephat. They just scroll down on the tweet posts. Brian says she brings nothing. UDA has already galvanized Mount Kenya by Kalonzo being not considered. That is fatal. By the way, I thought Uhuru could single-handedly deliver Mount Kenya votes to Azimio. George Ogola says she brings decisiveness, faithfulness, women vote, and a combination that sells in the eyes of those who think straight.
You know, a little history may help shed light here. When one Kenneth Matiba was unwell in the UK, the person who held sway at that time was Kibaki with his party, DP. And it was Kibaki in central Kenya. Matiba landed here. 2 weeks. Not a month. 2 weeks. That story changed completely. Now, it's historical. It happened. And suddenly everybody was carried. And Matiba didn't just get votes in Central, he got votes in Western. Matiba got votes in very many places.
Yep.
Now, what am I saying? I am saying with politics, there's usually something that will trigger the change that you want and galvanize and bring about a new situation. We saw this last in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
When suddenly people felt, my goodness, change. Kibaki represented it. And for the most part, he actually presented it and we saw it.
Yeah.
Now, in my mind, we are having that experience. I mean, if you just look around and look at the reaction people had across the country, tell me where people said, goodness gracious me, how can... No, it was jubilation.
Exactly.
Now, there are those who say, you can buy a crowd. I said, surely, across the country. The announcement of Martha's position was not greeted with angst. It was greeted with jubilation. Now, what does that tell you? In my mind, it was a knee-jerk reaction. People said, God.
Possible.
So the narrative of possibility and the possibility of change and change for the better seems to have entered our political space once again.
It's about numbers, though.
But what I've just said is what brings numbers.
This ticket has got to win.
Yes.
The people who are excited and all, are they the undecided? Or were they already Raila supporters who could have said, I mean, I support Baba and now I'm happy that Baba has chosen Martha Karua? Or is it people who would have gone to Jimmy Wanjege or William Ruto and have said, kama ni hivyo, I'm crossing back?
All those possibilities exist because this is politics. But remember the conversation that people have had along those lines is that, all these politicians are the same. Martha is not the same as these other people. That's the other thing. She is not. She's been a politician, yes. There are things she does that people don't like, but you cannot lump her and say she's like this and this and this. Martha's just like Martha.
One of a kind.
Yes. So, again, when people have hope, things happen, and even minds that previously had not been made. I come back to 2002. Who would have thought that Raila's Luo Nation would vote for Kibaki? Akikuyu. Exactly. Who thought? And they voted 97%. Now, that tells you, sometimes with change, you don't need to see it happening every day. If it happens once, it means it can happen. That's it. And I'm saying that it can happen moment is again here. That's all I'm saying. And the change you talk about with the numbers, once someone's mind is freed and they are looking at possibility and hope, there's hope that they'll change their mind and even vote for someone whom they can't. If I'm to go by social media feeds that I've been looking at, whether it's true or not, but Miguna, who has been a staunch and steadfast opponent of Raila Odinga, seems to be saying that if this is what Raila has done, then the likelihood...
He may not be a despot after all.
No.
Interesting statistics here, just as you were giving that Kamala Harris information coming out of the US. So there's post-election analysis that's often done across voters across the United States. And it was interesting that a lot of voters made the decision to vote in a particular way after the announcement of Harris as Biden's running mate. They didn't really know what side they were going to be on. But that tipped the scales for a lot of them because, again, the possibility of inclusion at the very top level for the gender card, for the minority card, for the immigrant card, so many things then came together in this one individual and they said, hold on a minute. Now, because of this individual, what they saw is the possibility of so many other things happening that they had not come to grips with before, and that made them change a decision, change their minds about where they would vote. And so that's what I think we can draw parallels here and say, you know what? We can say that it's a game of numbers, which, come on, we have to admit that it is. But what we are saying that, in my opinion, what this presents is a possibility for those numbers to be galvanized because of what is presented as an option in this choice.
Yeah, and then you look at, for instance, Karua in and of herself, or Rigathi in and of himself as a politician, if they were running without Ruto, without Raila.
If it was Karua versus Rigathi Gachagua.
Exactly. It's not that they have a hold of Mount Kenya themselves, right? It is, they're now representatives of, okay, you've gotten one of your own, so support. So moments when the night before they made the announcement of Rigathi, there's those protests there with folks saying, no Rigathi, no Ruto. Yeah, these are the people who at some point were like, we are with Ruto, Kenya Kwanza, UDA, and all of that. So many dynamics at play. So at the end of the day, yes, the numbers important. It boils down to those. But to CT's point, it's the mobilization. So when you put on the weighing scale and you have Martha herself again and Rigathi mobilizing skills, even Ruto said it as he was announcing, you give it to Rigathi.
Rigathi has it.
You saw that rally in Kirinyaga it was, and what transpired there. Martha has maintained they had been paid goons to come and boo her, but you cannot compare the two in galvanizing and, they're mobilizing. However, when what they call state machinery checks in, and all of the other factors in as far as going out there, it will be perhaps a red nation in as far as just spreading the word and getting, but it will be very competitive also out on the other side with Kenya Kwanza. So that's the very interesting fight that we'll be seeing.
So basically what we're saying is because there's somebody from Mount Kenya, when the principal, the person who's supposed to be going to get the Mount Kenya votes for Raila, goes to the ground, there'll be no pushback. That you sold us out anyway, and we don't even have anybody. Now they'll be like, okay, so we have somebody. Now let's hear what you're saying. It would have been different had it not been
disastrous. It would have been
a Mount Kenya running mate, and Uhuru is there going to say, let's vote for the huyu mzee amenisaidia, huyu mzee tumefanya kazi na yeye, huyu mzee is. People would have looked at him and said, but what do we get? You're going home. And then
and remember, Raila has been decampaigned in central Kenya for what?
Decades.
Yes.
Decades. So even that has been one of the biggest issues. How do you undo what you've done for this long?
Successfully.
And then you don't also give them running mates. So DP one.
It would have been madness.
Yeah.
It would have been madness.
Yeah.
But Eric, when you look at our politics, what I'm about to say is what I consider the beauty of our politics. Because it tells you the capacity that our leaders have for accommodating change, taking into account the past, but again, steadfastly looking at the future.
Yep.
Because there are people who hold grudges and you ask Nani.
So
you let go.
Leave this thing alone.
Let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you've held it long enough.
Okay,
we
get it.
We get it now.
Understand.
Can we at least move forward, for heaven's sake? Because this grudge isn't getting us anywhere.
It's hurting you. Well, we can see it hurting you. So,
You see, this ability to look at our problems and negotiate is a blessing from the Almighty. Because you look at our politics, right through from the time of independence, a lot of what we have had to do and our movement forward has been born out of negotiations. Some negotiations have gone north and south, others have moved us forward. But it seems to be the Kenyan way. People sit and negotiate. Now, that negotiation is a good thing. But if the negotiation then promises to change the lives of Kenyans, it's a better thing. Now, that's the burden that whoever is going to get into power will have. How are you going to change the lives of Kenyans for the better?
Yeah.
What impact will you have?
Yes. You see, the attitude we've been discussing here, people seem to have given up.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, Martha has cut that short. That giving upness, people have said, okay.
We have our person
actually
in there.
don't have to give up. Not just yet. There's a glimmer of hope here. Now, that is what you often need to ignite the change that previously you couldn't actually see. You look and you wonder, where is it going to come from?
Yep.
Because if you asked me, I couldn't have foreseen the reaction that I saw across the country. I couldn't have. But it also tells me that this is somebody who the general public knows about, have a certain view of, and the reaction now tells you she seems to represent what they've been hoping for.
Right.
Yes.
Also, if you just look at this, both campaigns had gamed us for a while.
Sure.
Yeah, they had prepared us for this. They had leaked. Martha Karua, is that a possibility? Martha Karua, would Martha Karua be? Headlines appearing, Martha Karua, and who are the others? Martha Karua. And then look at the other side. Kindiki came out of nowhere. I say, and this is my opinion, that this was William Ruto playing chess, proper chess, with the people. William Ruto's choice was always Gachagua. William Ruto, introduces Professor Kithure Kindiki out of nowhere.
To throw folks off.
Out of complete oblivion. Nowhere had the name of Kithure Kindiki ever featured. And suddenly he's a headline. Kindiki is leading. Leading what?
And he's an acceptable figure.
And then there's a whole 19 hours of Ruto being held 19 hours to decide. Ruto. And then, let's do a quick poll throughout the day. Okay, so what are people saying? Kindiki is leading. Hey. Okay, let's do a poll again with members of parliament. Who's leading? Kindiki. Kindiki. No. Let's give it to Gachagua. I think Ruto was sending a message to Gachagua. I am the one
who decides,
who has given you this position.
You owe me your allegiance forever.
Gachagua cannot come and say, I'm the one who brought you Mount Kenya. No, I'm the one who's given you this position. I think that the whole game was sending another longer message.
But the flip side of that is, if there's anyone who can present the problem, if it can be described that way, that Ruto has been to Uhuru, is Gachagua.
Yes.
To him as Ruto.
To him, exactly.
And that's why Ruto had to make sure that from the very beginning, we understand the power balance here.
The pecking order.
The power balance here is, listen, wajua nilikuwa na Kindiki, nikaachana na Kindiki nikakupatia hii kitu.
You think that will matter? So you've told me that, alafu.
All along.
You saw what people saying out down there. Kama hakuna mtu yetu, we are not boarding.
Okay, anyway. Sophia, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for the enlightening conversation that you've given us.
Thank you for having me.
Na mdosi ukirudi pande ile ingine.
Tuma salamu.
Peleka salamu zetu.
Waambie bwana, unaona vile tunafanya kazi hapa.
Na nguvu.
Na bidii.
Tutetee.
Na nguvu.
Join us again tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Wednesday, the 18th day. We'll be here. Have a lovely day. It's now 10 o'clock.